Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SimPlay Motorsport here for the first round of the season. It is the Pro Championship, and we cannot wait to get back underway. It has been many a time, it's been 6 weeks precise since we was last on air with the Pro category, in which Ripper took that championship at the last round of the season. But welcome along to today, as you saw with our brand new graphics up on screen there. I am your host, Matthew Duffin, bringing you all the action today, and it's going to be fantastic, fast-paced action here. By all accounts, new drivers on the grids, old drivers returning. We'll go through them shortly as well. No PM Motorsport in the commentary box tonight. He'll be back with us next week. I'll be bringing you through the action tonight, and what a night we have in store. It is going to be fast-paced and furious. It will be something that we're all going to enjoy to see, because last night was fantastic racing. Dan Davis brought you the action there, and it was fantastic action to see. Different weather though for tonight, although it was clear in practice for the Pro-Ams last night. It is not clear. It is clear currently for the Pros tonight. Now, we actually had a little mishap in the setting of the survey. It was really wet earlier on. It is now dry, and we look to go 60 minutes left of the free practice session then. And it is going to be so interesting to see what these guys can do as they come through this Donington Park circuit, a very, very famous circuit, very, very good for quick racing. Obviously, if you're a British touring car fan or a British GT fan, if you remember the Formula One from way back when in the 1993, you'll know how good a circuit this one is. We've got 20 drivers currently out there, 21 drivers now, apologies, currently out there on the circuit. We are expecting a few more to come, and this should be absolutely fantastic to see what the action will be. Could be a magnificent, magnificent night of commentary and of racing to go. We've already got Tracy in the chat, Tobias in there, Scorpio, I-A-I-A-I-N-A-N-O, or Ian, as we saw last night. Welcome to you. Micro J's in the chat. Bossy Designs, our brand new sponsor, who bring you these fantastic overlays that you see on screen, brand new for this season. The overlays are absolutely amazing, and the sponsors popping up on your screen now. Bossy Designs, our brand new one. Design Manchester, obviously the provider of the server, and Audio Sport as well, backing us up for another season of GT3 action. Great to have Bossy Designs on board. Yeah, great to have them all here. Hypertech, Benedict Varga as well in the chat. Great to see everybody here with us tonight. It's Donington Park. We're in the East Midlands, where today we've actually had a bit of snow in the real world, but the virtual world, they've got away with that snow. So, who and what are on the grid this season? That's what I hear you're all asking as we await a couple more drivers to come in. Well, we have our returning driver and our returning PS5 ACC champion of that, Fury, or Joseph Bates as we all know him, returning in his BMW M4 for another season in Red Rum Racing as an independent. Overtaker missed out on the championship last year. He is now ready to go in Button Bashin Racing, back in his McLaren, but in the McLaren Evo 2. So leaving the Bentley behind, he is here as well. We have Orn Nash. What a guy this poses to be. He could be an absolute threat this season. So let's see what he does in his Lamborghini, independent driver for JB Racing. Jay Clouden in the on the track as well. He's an independent driver. Then we go to Dan Davis, the first of the teamed drivers. Here, Dan Davis on Orthodox 16. You may know him best as he is here this season. He is teamed with that of Mike Matthews. Peaceful Explosion in the SimPlay Racing machinery. The Ferrari 296 for Mike Matthews, and the Lamborghini Evo 2 for Dan Davis. Losser there then in the Lamborghini as well in the Evo 2. What can he do around Donington Park as we see one of our other teams? I don't think his teammate's in yet, so we won't jump to him at the moment. We'll give his teammate a chance to come in. Luke, or Dr. Who as you know him, his teammate isn't here tonight. De Hoffner isn't with us tonight, but for the Ottinger All-Stars, he is in the Aston Martin V8. Great to see the Aston Martin out here. Paolo returns for BDM Motorsport as an independent. Ramy Fernie, or Smoky Devil, to the people who have been around for quite a while. One of the veterans of SimPlay Motorsport. He will be teamed up with the Mutts Nuts for the Haggis Munchers. Simon Blair, the Mutts Nuts. Ferrari 296 for him. McLaren Evo for Ramy Fernie. Coiters then in the Ferrari 296. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do. Monkey Boy, a.k.a. Andrew Taylor, Same team, new car, new name. He will be teamed up with Sutty Apex, or Graham Sutcliffe as we know him, in 2 old AMs in the BMW M4 for both of them. That's where they are. We then have Sherry in his Lamborghini Evo 2. Great to see him here. Dan Brave in the Ferrari 296. What can he do then tonight in this car? Dennis Newman for Wesser Racing Team then. He will be partnered alongside that of Darren Yeo, or Daz Automatic as we know them two then. Alex Pow, back. Had a couple of races with us back in Season 1 of ACC. He's back in his Aston Martin V8. Going to be interesting to see what he can do. DeFizz in his Ferrari 296. What will he be able to do tonight then? And then we go to the BTC Jaeger Racing. 2 teams kind of combining. Jaeger Motorsport and Barry the Cat combining here to form one Gary 131, or Gary Leach as we know him. Will be teamed with that of Tibbs or Sky. Now I'm going to try and pronounce his surname. I may butcher this, so Tracy, you may want to help me out in the chat. But I'm going Schundelmeer. That's what I'm going with. Either way, it is great to have all these drivers out on track. Fantastic to see. And it's going to be fantastic to see these drivers go around this famous circuit. It is an absolutely cracking venue, Donington Park. My home circuit. And it's brilliant. You get some great racing around here. We also have B. Martin, who's just joined as an independent as well. So great to see him in all these brilliantly lovely liveried cars. And we have actually got a problem with the description. We haven't actually had our new Bozzy designs into the description. So I believe he's going to post something in the chat for you all to see. But yeah, what a season this poses to be. It's anybody's game. We talk about it off air. We talk about it a lot of who we think is going to win this season. And I get asked several times who I believe will win the season. And quite frankly, I can't call this one. I cannot call this one. It is so tough. Nash, a fantastic quick driver. We've got Fury. Joe in there. Absolutely brilliant driver himself. Dennis Newman looks like he's got some pace. Sky, he's got a bit of pace in there as well. They look fantastic at the moment. Pit confirm, says PM Motorsport. And Ian, jealous of these conditions. Dean as well. That is Dean from last night. Nice and dry tonight. We had a dry practice. Jamie Brazier, good evening to you. Can we race ours again tonight and pro race tomorrow? Well, again, chap, let's not forget, it was actually wet for these guys before the lobby had to get reset. So, yes, interesting to see as we go along. Hope PN is doing well. And yeah, it's going to be good to see this. This is going to be fantastic. We cannot wait to get going. It's been a long time coming. Like we said, 6 weeks of no pro action, and we finally got going last night in a wet Pro-Am race. It is going to be pretty dry at the moment. The track rubbering in nicely so far, and the track looking like it's going to go in the favour of the pros. But it's great to have such an audience here, so many drivers as well here at Donington Park, which is, again, fantastic circuit in the East Midlands. It's actually located in Leicestershire. It could also be Nottinghamshire or Derbyshire. It's kind of on the border of all three. It's an FIA Grade 2 circuit. Has a capacity of 120,000 fans. It was opened in 1931. It is owned recently by Motorsport Vision, which is great to see. They've done such a good job with Donington Park. Now, if I can find it, I will get the GT3 lap record. I know that Dan gave the lap record overall last night, so let's try and find the GT3. Ewan Hankey in a McLaren 720S GT3 Evo last year, a 1:24.9. We are nowhere near them times. Our records, if we go back to our Project Cars 2 days, is out of Gary 131, or Gary Leach, in his Porsche 1:26.6. Again, we're not quite near that yet, and a 1:28 dead in the race. So it's going to be interesting to see if Gary can replicate that or what he will do. Here is his teammate, though, Sky, at the moment. Where's Overtake, actually? He's not up the order at the moment. He's actually down in 12th place, so the runner-up from last season down in 12th. Evening to DJ Phil as well. Pierre in the chat, Gary sliding down, losing his chips. That was fantastic back in April. Dan for the win, race 1 and 2, says DJ Phil in the chat. So it's great to have you all here for us today. It's great to see a lot of the Pro-Am drivers from last night in the chat raring to go. Like we said, PN will be in the commentary box with me next week. It'll be great to have PN back alongside me next week. But yeah, overtaker leaving the Bentley back to the McLaren for the McLaren Evo. Not having it his own way at the moment. 1.6 seconds off the pace set by Nash at the moment in his Lamborghini. And fantastic of Nash at the moment to see what he can do. He's a real workhorse is Nash. Got a great YouTube channel. Make sure you go check him out. As many of the drivers all love to stream their POVs. And there you see, really focused on what he needs to do today. Nash, obviously a man on a mission, and what has a point to prove. Fury's not far off him though. Dennis Newman, you know, within 3/10. Also within 3/10 is unorthodox 16, who's actually coming into Goddard's. That's a little deep. That'll invalidate that lap time. Sky is 8/10 off the pace. Losser there then is also just under a second off the back of the leaders, as there was a car the wrong way there. Then it's that was interesting to see. As Losser comes up towards Goddard's. A couple of drivers coming to the end of their laps now. 6 minutes left in the free practice session. So let's see what these boys can do. If you missed Pro-Am, go back and watch last night. Fantastic action, fantastic racing. Dan Davis brought you all the live action of that. And it is fantastic stuff. Hypertech in the chat as well. Phil's going to be quicker, going to be a tough one all round. There are so many quick new drivers in here. Could go either way. Exactly. It could go either way. So many new drivers on this grid that it could go any way possible. It really is. And this is fantastic to see. 23 cars on the grid. Really is fantastic to see this season. We got Martin here in his bright green McLaren, which again is just another fantastic livery. Really good to see such colourful cars this season as well. Oh, as he's dropped it coming through McLean's. Alex Powell not yet on track. Sooty Apex in the pits. Monkey Boy's coming into Goddard's now. The next car coming to Goddard's is car 11. That is Mike Matthews, who in pre-season testing in the hot laps you have to do before getting into one of the categories here. You actually have to do a hot stint to see which category you'll be placed in. For Mike Matthews, he has had some electric pace. Some absolute electric pace. He comes to the line now. He's going to keep himself down in 12th place. Luke stays in 17th. There is a car just behind them. Who is next, though, to the Melbourne hairpin? That is Simon Blair in his Ferrari 296. On a valid one. Although that was just over the grass a little bit. It is still valid. And yep, you're right, Jay, it is as well. Great to see some cross-play drivers. If you're wondering why some of the drivers have a globe on their name, that is because they are cross-play. They are on the Xbox Series X, as Simon Blair stays P15, car 77. That is Sherry is coming to the line and crosses the line and stays P19. Next car on a valid lap, that is car 160. DeFizz is the car that will be setting the lap. Comes to the line. Any improvement? No. Stays P13 at the moment. Next driver is car number 99. That is Monkey Boy. New number for Monkey Boy this year. So brand new number for him to run. Evening to Fiore's granddad in the chat. Great to have such support here. Monkey Boy stays P20. Gary's just behind him, but is not on a valid lap. Here comes Mike Matthews then on another run. And then it is car 82 just behind Mike. Mike still P11. Here comes Losser at the moment, though. Stays where he is. Car 69 of Simon Blair. So a lot of returning faces, a lot of new faces on the grid. Who are we excited to see this season? What car are we excited to see? A lot of the newer cars. Bar the old Aston Martin of Luke and Alex. Every car is one of the newer versions. The Porsche 992, the Lamborghini Evo 2, the BMW M4, the McLaren Evo and the Ferrari 296. And Simon Blair moves himself up into P13. Car 77 will be next if Sherry rounds Goddard's, down towards the line. Currently down in P19 is Sherry at the moment. And crosses line to move up into P15. Here comes Fury, a tenth and a half, separating the top four. So what a season we're in for here. Here comes Fury to the line and stays P3. Overtaker's had a mistake at Goddard, and Dan Davis is on a flying lap, just ahead behind two cars on an invalid lap. $27,000, no longer 98 thousandths, just shy of a tenth quicker than Nash in his Lamborghini Evo 2 is Dan Davis. Gary 131, a lover of the British circuits, currently running in P6 in his Porsche 992. What can he do at the moment? Looking for a bit more pace. Gets within 7 tenths of a second. Mike Matthews moves himself up ahead of Gary now into that P6 spot. Lawson now goes back ahead of Mike Matthews there then. Such the apex sats currently in the pit lane. Monkey Boy out on the circuit. He went through turn 1. Next car on a flyer. Is that a Fury? Obviously all free practice. The calm before the storm. But drivers will be starting their last laps, or maybe even finishing a couple of runs for the 111 car. That is Alex, I do believe, will be finishing his lap. Martin then P23 at the moment. Here is Alex, looking ready to go, but Fury was the next car to the line. 2.5 tenths separating him and Dan. Really close. Just over a second separating the top 11. Joe gets not any closer. The 160 of DeFizz. He doesn't improve his time. What about Overtaker, currently running in P4? Moves himself into second place. Look how close that is by the top 3 then. Dan Davis coming back around again. Car 86, that's Martin going up into P15. Here comes Dan Davis for one fly run. Doesn't improve any there. Obviously it is only free practice, so improvement isn't the worry at the moment. Gary 131 rounding Goddard's down the straight. Doesn't find any more time this time around. 271. That is out of Dennis Newman. Here he comes. Stays P5. So he'll finish the first part of the session, as will Monkey Boy. Next car will be the 111. That will be Alex, the only man who's not set a time at the moment. Here he comes and out the final corner. Nobody's running ballast in the Pro Series, Phil. Not one driver running ballast as Alex moves himself into that top 10 contention. Car 69, that is Simon Blair. What can he do? He'll be the next one to finish a lap. Crosses the line now, stays P14 for Fury. It's going to be interesting to see what he's going to do in this moment. So you'll see there, all the drivers on the grid, nobody running any ballast or restrictors. That is only in Pro-Am. As Fury tops the timing screens right at the end. So what a job from Fury then, making a statement here early on. DeFizz finishes his lap. Car 16's on an invalid one. It's car 36. There's the next one to the line. That is Clouden. Evening to Storenson in the chat. Good evening. Great debut for Storenson last night. Here comes Clouden to the line. No improvement for MP7. Car 43 will be the last one to finish a lap. And that is Smokey Devil, or Ramy Fernie. We've got to call them by their real names this season. Now, obviously, what we have this year as well is the 2 qualifyings, and the rain is back. The track is greasy, and the rain is back. So this is now going to be a bit interesting here. As what do you run? Do you run the wets or do you run the dries? This could be interesting. Poll going up now for who you think is going to get pole position. If you don't agree with any of them drivers on that list, comment in the comments box who you feel will get on that list. But it is Joe, the first. No, it's not. It's Dan Davis, the first man out on the track, followed by Sky. And I don't know if Tracy's still in the chat. Did I get Sky's surname correct? Hopefully I did for you guys. But Dan Davis. Now, what tyre is Dan running at the moment? This is the interesting one for me. Greasy conditions, and the rain is only going to get worse. So you really want to be out there early and get a good lap in. Dan, all over the place. Let Sky go now. So Sky will be the first one to set the lap times alight. Interesting tactics now. What do these drivers do? How are they going to go about it? Oh, now Dan's gone back up the inside, so jostling for position are these two. Dan's now back in front. Dan wants to set the first lap time. So some fascinating stuff here. Tibbs backs off from Dan and lets him go. So Dan, round Goddard's, looking to get the first qualifying underway. There is a bit of traffic actually going through Redgate Corner. So this is going to be interesting for Dan. If he catches this traffic, you know, how damaging is that going to be for him then? If they come down the crane of curves, this could be an interesting one. Dan through the old hairpin, a little wide, misses the apex a little bit, but he's okay, he's not too bad, keeps the speed through. Up the hill then, through Starkey's Bridge. And now into McLean's. Round he comes, down to third gear, possibly dropping it down to second in the wet. Round Coppice he goes again. It's very easy corner to lose the rear end. Down the SimPlay straight they come. We renamed it. Down the SimPlay straight he comes now. Into the Fogarty S's comes Dan Davis. Evening to Mother Davis in the chat. Through the Fogarty S's. Absolutely bang on at the moment. Is he still on a valid lap? Let's just take a look. Yes, he is. Now into the Melbourne hairpin. And this is where it's going to get interesting for Dan. Oh, didn't look like he got the best of exits from the Melbourne hairpin here. Sutty for pole, says Jamie Brazier. Now into Goddard's. What is Dan's lap time going to be? This could set the benchmark here. And Dan crosses the line, a 1:32.8. It's going to be Tibbs then just behind him. He goes 4/10 off the pole. Let's try and find the 1:11. Here is Alex. What can he do? He qualified. He has got Ornash, the quick driver just in front of him. Dan's down to second. It is Ornash who's gone pole. Here is Paolo then just behind. What can Paolo do? Nothing at the moment. I tell you one man who'll be loving these conditions. That is Gary 131. Gary Leach. He loves a greasy bit of track. Loves the British circuits. Loves the Porsche, so Gary could be right in his element here. Can he get any improvement on that board? He goes P4 at the moment. Here then comes Overtaker, looking for an early run. That'll put him now into P4. Now we go to the 160 of DeFizz. And the track is just going to get wetter and wetter. Not fast though. Nice and slowly the track will get wetter. Right, who next to the line? Car 83, or is it 43? Is that Ramy Fernie to the line? No, he's sliding through. It's 13 actually. That is that of Fury to the line. I thought Fury was on a lap earlier. He's gone. P4 at the moment is Joe. Car 69, that is Simon Blair. Back on another run. I believe that is that Dennis Newman just behind him? I believe it is Dennis Newman, the 271. Yeah, Dennis currently 6th. Simon Blair goes up the order a bit. Nash. Cloudon's currently provisional pole. Nash can't improve. Alex stays 1.5 off the back. Where's Paolo? Yet to set a lap time. Comes across the line now. And manages to go P12. 160 the next car on a valid lap. That is that of DeFizz. So already the grid sort of being shaken up a little bit here. And if you damn, you're possibly not sat in the right seat at the moment. Track not exactly wet, but not dry either. Sky for pole, says Tracy. Well, at the minute it is clouding. Here comes DeFizz, currently third on the grid. No improvement from him. Car 11 of Mike Matthews, yet to get a lap in here. Traffic really playing a key part we noticed last night. That was a real big part in qualifying. And the traffic playing an absolute role here. So here comes Mike Matthews to the line. Gets a lap time on the board. He does. He goes P5. Car 13. That's Fury. 6.5 tenths off the pole. Can Joe find any more pace? Down to the line he comes now. Doesn't find any pace. Can't see the name behind jumping up the leaderboard either. Who have we got coming to the final corner? I believe we have 69 of Simon Blair. We do, with Dennis Newman. They both opt to go to the pit. Here comes on Ash, though. To the line himself. He goes provisional pole, just shy of a tenth. Quicker than Clouden. Now the 77 of Sheary. Rounds Goddard. Can he find any more pace? Not got a lap time on the board yet. He now gets one on the board. He goes P3. Great lap that from him. We're looking for the 134. That is Den Brave. Through Goddard's himself, looking to put a lap time on there. Where is Tibbs? He's the next man coming around the track. Dan Brave goes P15. For Sky, he's only going to go and stay P. No, he moves P3. What a great lap that is. The 160 of DeFizz moves back up to P4. Now we turn our attention to Smokey Devil. Ramey Fernie down the order. Here he comes. He's 17th at the moment. He crosses the line. He now moves inside the top three. 73 of Luke comes in towards Goddard's. Daz Automatic not yet got a lap time in. He's just behind. What can Luke do? Luke goes up to 7th place. Here comes Daz Automatic. Not much of an improvement for him. He only goes 18th. Overtaker's now coming to the line. He's down in 11th. Can he find any pace? He goes provisional pole. But what about Joe? Stays P9. Dan Davis in the background's down in 11th place. The current defending Pro-Am champion down in 11th place. Time's being improved. Dan only moves up to 7th. Oh, Nash half a second off the back of Overtaker. He improves but can't find enough. Next man is Gary 131 who finds himself down in 14th place now. The rain. The track has changed to damp. The rain is getting more heavier. It will get lighter in half an hour as well, but it is getting heavier, the forecast is saying. So a dry practice, throw them all into a greasy qualifying. Gary has just moved up to P3, so what a lap from him. Car 81 next. That is Paolo. Nash is in the pit, so he is done for qualifying. A few of these drivers will get one more running here. But for a lot of them, this could be the final laps of qualifying. Here comes Paolo. Goes P7, so a great lap from Paolo. Now we're getting the 82 Lamborghini. No, we're not getting the 82 Lamborghini. I'm not sure who that was. Car 11, that's Mike Matthews. He's down in 15th place. On the back of Daz Automatic, stays 15th place. Overtaker, can he improve any? No, he cannot. Sky doesn't improve. Car 13, that's Joe. He's now down in 40th, so it's all chopping and changing. The track getting wetter. Nobody's improving here. And one guy who's not got a lap time on the board is Monkey Boy. He is coming down towards. He is the next man, I do believe, on a valid lap. Yes, he is. As Monkey Boy now comes round. Oh, that's very wide at the Melbourne hairpin there. Well, Gary's not got to worry about his record being beaten. Monkey Boy is done. He will not set a qualifying lap here. Monkey Boy is done. Car 82 is now coming to the line. That is Losser. Where will this put Losser on the grid? Currently 22nd. Needs 1.2 to get ahead of Martin. Few drivers in the pits. The 81 is also done. That is Paolo. And here comes Losser. Can he find any more time here to get up the order? He does. He moves into P16. Who's the next one? It's 160. DeFizz to try and climb back inside the top 10. Be a huge moment. He could find just a couple of hundredths to get inside this top 10 here then. And he goes P6. What a lap from DeFrizz. And I don't know, Smokey's in this pack. Ramey Fernie's in this pack. Couple of cars crossing the line. Smokey stays P7. Next one is Overtaker. Pole by 3 tenths from Clouden. Then it is Sky. Look out for Sky. Overtaker, no improvement. Sky moves up to 8th. Then there is the 95 of Coutiers, he stays P5. What about Dan Davis? Down in 12th place. What can he do on his final run? Dan Davis to the line. Any improvement on 12th? It isn't. De Brave now comes to the line. He will stay. No, he improves. He improves to P14. Apologies. So he improves to P14. So Darren Yeo will be 22nd. After that, it will be Alex. Poor qualifying that from Alex. I'm sure he'd have been wanting to do better. B. Martin. Then he qualified P20. Simon Blair, P19 for him. Dennis Newman, P18. Bit better than his teammate. Not the best of qualifying, though. And it is a dry race, but it will rain within half an hour. So it's going to be a dry race one, and people are out of position here. So after Dennis Newman P18, it is Losser in that P17 place. After Losser will be Mike Matthews, tipped to do good things this season, but he's down the order in P16th. Fury Joe. Well, how far down the order is he for this race at the moment? P15 for Joe so far. Sheary then. He'll be P14. Dan Davis goes from P13 on the grid. How out of position is Dan? Sutty Apex. Graham Sutcliffe P11. Out qualifying him. Luke, he is P10. And we get Paolo in P9. We have Sky in P8. Good qualifying for Sky. Top 10 for that. Ramy Fernie P7. DeFizz only signed up today, only got in the league today. P6 for DeFizz. Coutiers as well, he got in the league today. P5. Gary Leach, P4. What a qualifying that for him. Nash putting it inside P3. And then we have Clouden and Overtaker. Your pole sitters, or your front row, should I say, here in this one. So what a qualifying. But Overtaker takes the upper hand and the advantage in this one. And there are people in this grid who are out of position. So it's going to be absolutely fantastic to see. But let's see, get your vote in for who you think is going to win this first race. Evening to Peaceful Stepdad in the chat. Let's go. Gary says Smithy. Good evening, Smith. Good evening to Fury's mum. So many quick drivers, says Hypertech. Indeed, there are. But it's not just the quick drivers, it's the randomness of the grid. Fury down in 15th place. Dan down in 12th. Two drivers you'd have expected to be inside the top four. For me, Alex. I know Alex has got a lot of pace, down in 21st. Mike Matthews has had a good pre-season, down in 16th. Not many people, I think, expected Sutty to be that high. Gary, P4. That shows how good he is. Are we holding on to our seats? Are we ready? Because we're about to go green for the first race of the pro season. It's round one here in the East Midlands at Donington Park for the SimPlay Motorsport season. While you are tuned in and fastened to your seats, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, hit the bell to be notified when we are live, and of course hit that big red subscribe button. This is going to be fantastic. This is going to be action packed. Hold on to your hats, folks. This could be an absolute outrageous race. So it's Overtaker from Clouden, Nash from Gary, row 3 is Coutiers from DeFizz, Ramy Fernie from Sky Schundelmeyer, Paolo from Luke, Graham's from Dan Davis, Sheary from Den Brave, Joe from Mike Matthews, Losser from Dennis Newman, Simon Blair from Martin, Alex Powell from Darren Yeo, and then Andrew Taylor at the back of the pack. They are getting into double file. And here we go. Up towards Goddard. Overtaker controls the pace. They'll all have to stick to their green little box they have. And then they'll soon have to stick to the 70 mile an hour. Will anybody be out of position at the start? This is going to be the interesting one. As we are, for the first time in the Pro Series. Green and go here, and it's a drive-through for Overtaker! The pole sitter's got a drive-through at the very beginning! Can you believe it? Down into Redgate for turn 1. It is Overtaker with Clouden on his outside. Nash and Gary going side by side. Oh, and Clouden's off! He's in the wall! He's had a wiggle coming through Hollywood. They all go now. It's Overtaker from Nash, from Gary Leach, down through the crater curves. Gary looking right on the back as they come through the timing screens. Gary looking really racy on the back of Nash already. Up through under Starkey's Bridge they go towards McLean's. Overtaker's being allowed to pull away, but he's got a drive-through penalty. A false start, out of position, or potentially too fast at the start. And that'll ruin it for him. Down the order, it's Coutius, De Vries, Raby Ferdy, Sky, Luke, Dan Davis is getting a few places, Paolo, then Graham coming through the second set. So we're going to see it all start to fix itself. But Overtaker with that drive through early on. Gary already running on the podiums, great to see. Coutius and P4, then it's De Vries, Raby Ferdy, Sky with Luke running P8 in his Aston Martin. Great run that. Here comes Dan Davis though, giving Luke a bit of a flash, inside outside. As that's, oh, spinner! Oh! And that is the Nash! Nash is around! And it is all congested. He's being battered here as everybody just plows into him. And Nash is around. And a horrible start for the debutant. Overtaker carries on. And it is now Gary Leach second place. De Vries is first. Raby Ferdy is fourth. But he's got Luke side by side with him. Unorthodox now moving up the order. But he's got Dennis Newman looking up the inside. Into turn 1. Can't do nothing about it. Dan's going to try and go the long way around. Gets squeezed onto the curb by Luke a little bit. Trying to go side by side down the crater curbs. Is Luke with Smokey? No. Dan has a look at it as well. Fury's looking racy in the background with Paolo. That is Joe. Trying to do an almighty job here. Oh, contact! That is Dennis Newman backwards. And it is absolute chaos in the Pro. And I wonder what happened there, but Dan, I believe, has also cleared Luke. And there's another car off. That looks like Paolo is off. Evening to Water in the chat. Great to be in your stream the other day, Water. Gaming Welshman here. Just to let you know. So you know who's commentating. Pit window's open. Overtaker's got a drive-through to do. Danny's right up the rear end of Raby Ferdy, who is on the back of De Vries on the podium at the moment. Where's Mike Matthews in all this? He's climbed back up to 9th. Then it's Joe. Then it's Alex Powell. Darren Yeo is gone to 12th. Then it is Monkey Boy and Clouden looking side by side with Darren Yeo down towards the Melbourne hairpin. Smokey gets that done. Paolo's 15th. Sherry 16th. Graham 17th place. Simon Blair is in 18th. Losser, then Martin. Dennis Newman has still not moved. And then it is Crutius who is in the pits, not sure why. And Nash is in there as well. As Dan Davis in for an early stop. Who was that coming in as well? That looks like Alex Powell. And then Darren Yao. Paolo comes into the pits. What about Sherry? Nothing for Sherry. Graham's going to come in. Simon Blair, I imagine, is going to come into the pits as well. Well, Dennis Newman needs to get moving. Currently just sat on the outside part of the track. Someone return to the pits. That'll be Crutius then. Simon Blair into the pits. Morton is off. As Nash is trying to gain on him. He'll probably pit this lap as well. Yep, Martin comes in. I imagine Nash is going to pull into the box any moment. Dennis Newman has now returned to the pits. That's two drivers that has returned to the pits. Will Nash come in and get a pit stop done? No, he's going to carry on his way. Well, it's Overtaker then, who's got a 4.9 second lead here, but has got to come in for his drive-through penalty. Where is Dan Davis? He's down on his 13th place. He's pitted, hasn't he? Apologies. Thought he'd made a mistake. Overtaker's got to come in for his drive-through penalty this lap. Otherwise, it will be disqualified. No, he's staying out. He's been disqualified. Overtaker has ignored his drive-through penalty. He has been disqualified from the first race of the season. Overtaker has been disqualified here. He will score no points. Oh my, Gary 131 leads the race from De Vries, who's side by side with Remy Fernie coming down the Craner curves. All nice and clean at the moment. They're both through okay. Then it is Luke Den Brave has got a bit of a train behind him of Sky. That is then Joe. Mike Matthews with them, Andrew Taylor, then Cloud and Sherry. Dan Davis, the first of the pit runners. Who's in this time? It is Simon Blair still in, and Martin. Cutius and Dennis Newman still in the pits. Overtaker though. Well, I can't believe what I'm quite seeing here. Will Nash pit now? He's got past Graham and Losser. So will he pit now? But I cannot believe what I'm witnessing. Yep, in comes Nash. So De Vries looking on the back. Dan Brave, it is Sky with Joe on the back of him. Overtaker has been disqualified. I knew Water would like the fact that Porsche's P1. Evening to Max Mulder as well. And we always say it, DJ Phil, when Pro-Am's pretty clean, Pro is carnage. Fury up the inside, runs a little deep though at the Melbourne loop. That allows Sky to come back through. Mike Matthews will be watching on the end of this, hoping to gain a few places. Now at Goddard, Joe looking back up the inside. Both of these cars with damage. Will any of these drivers pit? Mike Matthews is going to think, right, in I come. Remy Fernie is also in, as is Luke, as is Mike Matthews. Andrew Taylor and Clouden stay out. Dan Davis is just coming through Goddard. So will Dan jump any of these drivers? None of them away yet. So it's going to be interesting to see if Dan can get the jump on them now. Wow, cannot believe that. Dan Davis does get the jump on all three of them. Look at that. And Mike Matthews here gets the jump over two of them. And now he's got a drive-through penalty. It's the Muds Nuts. Serdi Slazar pitted. There's Paolo and Alex Powell. Darren Yo. Simon Blair then. Drive-through penalty. Martin and Dennis Newman still in the pits. What has just happened, says Overtaker? Well, you got a drive-through penalty and was disqualified for failing to serve it. But it is Gary Leach who leads the way. He has not won since GT4 at Kyle Army last season, the very first race, and he leads here back in a Porsche. Got a bit of damage to the rear end of his Porsche, but he's not doing bad at the moment. Joe looking up the inside of Dan Brave at Goddard, at Melbourne Airpin, sorry, and once again goes very deep, and that's going to allow Dan Brave to come back to him. Fury keeps it around the outside though. He's still with side by side with Dan Brave. Up the inside at Goddard. Will any of these three choose to pit? De Vries just in front. He stays out. Dan Brave and Sky both took into the pit lane. That was a bit quick from Dan Brave there. Andrew Taylor's going to pit. Clouden stays out. You imagine Dan is going to jump most of these at the moment. Martin and Dennis Newman still in the pits. If they do not return to the track, that is a retirement and no points for them too. So that is going to be interesting to see. Where is Dan Davis? He's gone through. Where is Remy Fernie? He also goes through, as does Mike Matthews. So Mike getting the jump. Luke moves back inside the top 10. Paolo going side by side with Alex Powell here. Into Redgate. Up the inside. Good move that. Alex Powell going to try and fight him back though through Hollywood. Down to the Craner curves now. What a chaotic first pro race this has been. Drive-through cleared for Simon Blair. Tibbs still in the pits. That's a long stop, that is. He's lost a lot of places. Sherry has done his stop. So Gary coming up to the back marker here. Cutius is back out on track. Martin in the pit. So him and Dennis Newman have got to come back out. In fact, no, it's Dennis Newman who's got to come back out on track. Otherwise, that will be a retirement for him. And already no retirements last night in the Pro-Am. There's one disqualification for Overtaker. And a retirement for Dennis Newman. Martin as well could be retired so far. Alex Powell on the back of Paolo. Mike Matthews gaining on the back of Remy Fernie here then. And Joe gaining on the back of De Vries. But the top four, no, the top three don't pick because Clouden comes in. Dan will easily jump Clouden. So it's now about will Remy Fernie jump him? He's got Mike Matthews right up the gearbox of that McLaren that's got damage to its right hand side. Down the start straight they come. Lap number 6 they have started. They have both jumped Clouden. Luke as well will jump Clouden. Dan Brave. This could be close to Clouden. Where is Clouden? Not yet out the pits. There's Dan Brave. There's Clouden. Here comes Paolo with Darren Yeo on the back of him. They come out just behind Clouden then. So Martin still in the pits. Dennis Newman still in the pits. That potentially looks like a retirement to me. Joe trying to gain on the back of De Vries here.
We are
halfway through the race. 7.5 minutes left of the pit window. But already, what a dramatic start to this season in the Pro. Been a dramatic start to the season. Gary 131. Now round the hairpin. Is going to box halfway through the race. Will he repair his damage? That's going to be the big question. What will De Vries and Joe do here then? Mike Matthews right on the back through the Fogarty S's of Smoky Devil as they come down. De Vries in the pitch. Joe stays out and will take the lead of this race. Bit of clear air for Joe. Nash does the fastest lap of the race then. So overtaker, 1 point for qualifying. But a disqualification in the race means no points for him here. Mike Matthews right on the back of Smoky Devil, Ramy Fernie. I see why Dan struggled a lot last night. It is very difficult to not say their old PlayStation names. Mike having a look up the inside into Redgate. Not going to get that done there. Where did Gary Leach feed out? Did Dan Davis get through? He did. Dan Davis fastest lap of the race and is 2 seconds up the road from Gary. So at the minute it is Joe from Dan from Gary. Old rivals them two with Mike looking to try and get on the podium here. If he can undercut Joe. Joe's now going for the overcut. He's committing to the overcut. So we're going to stop the poll right there. Most of you voted for Overtaker to win the race. Well, that's not how it went for him. Smoky Devil, a little wiggle out the corner of McLean's. Mike looking up the inside towards Coppice. The camera pans around. Mike doesn't get it done. Thinks better of it. And Dan 15.6 behind Joe. I think Dan's going to be the net leader of this race. Martin and Newman have not come back out on track. I believe that is a retirement for them two. Smoky all over the place. Ramy Fernie through the Fogarty S's down towards the Melbourne hairpin. They come. Mike Matthews looking up the inside at Melbourne and gets the job done there. Fantastic move from Mike Matthews up the inside of Ramy Fernie. That puts him up into P4. Is that though a net P3? Joe has got 5 minutes left of this pit window. Luke, not a bad start for him. Who else is in the mix of a battle? Paolo trying to catch on the back of Darren Yeo on Nash. Has he cleared Graham? He has cleared Graham by some margin. Now Nash is chasing after Sherry here then. Clouden on the back of De Vries. Yeah, for Martin and Newman, that looks like a retirement. Remember, you have to complete 75% of the race to score points. And it is not the way that these boys would have wanted it to go. De Vries being attacked by Clouden. Clouden looking a long way round at McLean's. He's gone so wide. He's off onto the gravel. That's going to invite Darren Yeo through. Paolo's just a bit too far behind. So Darren Yeo now wakes his way up into P9. And Dan is catching Fury. That could be the damage to Fury that's costing him here. Keeping our eye on Nash to Sherry for the time. Gap is 10 seconds. We'll keep our eye on that gap. See if it comes down. Paolo now all over the back of Clouden. Clouden goes defensive. Paolo back to the outside. Joe's in the pits. And Dan goes through to take the lead of this race. I saw on the track map as we're watching Paolo attack the rear end of Clouden. Can't do it here. Gary Leach moves into second. Where's Mike Matthews in relation to Fury? Mike comes out ahead of Fury. Now Luke is attacking the back of Smoky Devil. Fury is actually down in P6. So for Joe, the overcut didn't work for him there. Luke attacking the back of Ramy Fernie. He was saying to me that he doesn't feel like he's got the pace for Pro. His Austin put him there. Well, showing that he has got the pace because he's right up there. A couple of incidents, yes, but he has got the pace. So Dan Davis, not the qualifying he wanted, but my days, is this the race? He is the most successful driver at Donington Park as well, is Dan Davis, as here comes Luke, still having a look. Joe's 3.5 behind these two. Will be catching him pretty quickly. Points all the same for Pro and Pro-Am, yeah. So the Pro points all the same and points all the same for race 1 and race 2. Luke having a good little look. Darren Yeo now on the back of De Fizz. Here he comes down towards the Fogarty S's. Late on the brakes. Can't get it done. They both run a little deep. Daz a little further deep than he'd have liked. That's going to allow Clouden to just get onto the rear end. And here comes Clouden. Pulls out up the inside. Down towards the Melbourne hairpin. Goes right up the inside. There's De Fizz. Oh, he's pushed De Fizz wide. And Daz will not need a second invitation. Neither will Paolo. Alex Powell gets a couple of places as well. And De Fizz still off. Sky comes through. Simon Blair a lap down, being blue flagged. As the rain starts to fall, there's a few spots in the air here. So it is just starting to have a bit of drizzle in the air at Donington Park. I do believe I saw that on the screen there. Yes, there is. Just the odd spot. Let's go on board with with Dan Byrne. There is. Look, just a few spots appearing on the screen of Dan Byrne. It's not going to get wet enough to do anything here. But could this spell rain for later on in the day? It said I have to go right, even though I started on the left. Gave me a drive through. Well, there's nothing we can do about that. If that's the way it told you to start, that's where it told you to start. The game penalised being out of position. As Alex gets Luke gets lunged on by Fury. And Fury side by side with Luke. Luke's still there, looking up the inside, then into Goddard's. The rain's just starting to fall a little heavier at the moment, so it is just coming in a little heavier. Yeah, the rain's coming. Fury looking at Joe, looking for the undercut. What a start to this season this has been. An absolute belter. De Fizz back in the pits. Fury looking to attack the back of Luke. Luke's looking to attack the back of Ramey. Well, Mike Matthews trying to hunt down Gary Leach for a SimPlay Racing 1-2. The BTC Jaeger boys doing well. The pit window is closed. And Luke trying to attack and defend at the same time. The track conditions have already changed. It's gone from optimum to fast. So already the track conditions are changing. And now you start to wonder, as Luke looked a little slidey through there, now you just start to wonder. Fury's on the back of him. He's about to attack. Is Joe. Joe Bates down the outside. Could really mix things back up. Great switch back from Joe there. Absolute textbook. He won the short PS5 league we did before Christmas. And Joe moves himself up into P5 now. Great overtake that from him. He's now going to get back onto a former rival of Ramey Fernie. Nash does the fastest lap. He took that away from Dan Davis, who with 1 minute 24... Yeah, he'll get another lap in from there. He's about to lap De Fizz. But Dan having it his own way. 7.7 clear of Gary 131. Who's 7.6 clear of Mike. That rain is falling heavier and the track is now greasy. So the rain is falling heavier. You see Fury there just with a wiggle or two. Oh, who's going to be the better one in these conditions? I tell you what. This is just going to make the last lap of this race a little dicey here. Fury has Luke right up the rear wing. Nash within 3.9 of Sherry, so he was 10 seconds a couple of moments ago. Well, this could make things really interesting. The track has gone greasy, so it's just that little bit too slippy at the moment. Or getting slippier, should I say. Darren Yeo, 1.1 off the back of Den Brave. Just seeing the odd wiggle here or there from Joe. Joe looking to the outside once again of Ramey. Leader starts the final lap. He's going to try and tuck back underneath Ramey. Can he get it done? No, he can't. Ramey holds on to that one. Joe's got to fight another day. In towards Goddard's now comes Joe. It's been a fantastic opener to this race. Ramey's gone a little deep. Is that the wet conditions? Joe nearly runs into the back of him. Manages to just hit the brakes a little more to not do so. And a flash of the lights there. Joe wants to get through. Now looks up the inside. Has a look. And it is only a look. A peek through the window. But there is nobody home to let Joe in. Gary Leach 9.1 off the back of Dan Davis. Dan coming up towards Coppice. We'll tune into him as he crosses the line momentarily. But this three-way battle here between Joe and Luke and Ramey. What a fight, what a scrap, what a race. We've got the 45-minute race coming up shortly. Dan's through the second sector. Joe to the outside of McLean's, trying to tuck back in underneath. Smokey parks it on the apex. Joe's on the curbs. Oh, they touch! Joe got out of shape all over the curb. And they come together. I believe Daz has got past Den Brave. They're both back on track. But that could help Daz get even closer. But for this man, back from the Pro-Am, his first race in the Pro. He's a 7-time champion and he's kicking things off the way they need to be. Dan Davis rounds Goddard's for the final time. He's going to win here at SimPlay Motorsport for race 1 of the season. Gary 131. I bet you wouldn't have had this on the script earlier today. He's going to be on the podium. It is P2 for Gary 131. Great drive from him. And I bet this is another one you didn't think of. But trust me, his pre-season pace has been fantastic. Mike crosses the line for P3. And Luke has just been handed a P4. The door was open for him. P4 for him. Ramey Fernie will be that of P5. Joe will come across the line P6. P7 will then go the way of Darren Yeo. P8 for Dan Brave. P9 goes the way of Paolo. Alex will take P10. Claude Cluden, P11, Sky, P12, not a shame for him, not the same as his teammate. Andrew Taylor across the line, P13. Sherry just ahead of Nash there. Very, very close, but just ahead of Nash, who takes the fastest lap of the race, but gets P15 as well. Sherry comes across the line for P14. P16 for Losser. Can't find Losser's name. Graham, P17. We'll sort that one out in just a moment. P17 for Graham. DeFizz, P18. The Mutsnuts, P19. Cutius, P20. And then Dennis Newman. And we did actually lose another driver there. I believe one of them's left the lobby, at least I do believe. Morton finished 12 laps down, so that'll be a DNF. Losser is there, so there is Losser 16th place for him. Well, that though was race 1, and a fantastic race 1 at that. We are going to be right back in a few moments' time. Do not go anywhere as we get ready for race 2. Well, I bet you didn't think you'd get that one after qualifying.
Mate, I just made the wrong choice. I stuck with the slicks and thought they would work, but they
You
didn't.
need to follow the guide on screen. Doesn't matter where you started. The ACC. That is AC. Yes. This is ACC guided laps. Everyone else did it right, and last night he is not happy.
He's in my Twitch chat.
Is he still in your party chat?
He's not in the party chat. No, I was in with.
Why is there
Mike
only
and
21
Gary.
drivers?
Nash wants
Nash
to
has
leave
dropped
for some
out.
reason.
Yeah. And
He wants to come back in.
Yeah, I just read that.
I don't get that.
And
It's a bit weird.
Unless he's resetting his wheel or something, don't know.
Right.
And Overtaker's not in the lobby. So you know, as you said last night, imagine Matt and Kelly being on the podium. Well, imagine it being you, Mike, and Gary.
I know, right?
Like, fucking hell. All these new drivers and it's still the same old fuckers.
I'm sitting there and I'm like, boys, we need to keep this in one piece. Gary, stop trying so hard. He's like, I'm not. I'm keeping it.
Is he in your party chat, yeah?
Yeah.
Sooty in there with you?
No Sutty or boy.
Fucking hell. I don't even know if Gary's got an invite to this.
Who won? Talk to me. Who won? Smith. It was me, Smithy. I won race 1. Gary got second and Mike got third. Gary was winning. Talk to me. No, it was me. It was me. I won.
Yeah, Gary was winning, but he pitted.
Yeah.
Carnage. Absolute chaos tonight.
I knew, but being stuck behind Smokey, I'd lose time.
Yeah.
So I was just like, the pit window's open. Fuck it, let's get in. How did you win? I pitted early and used the clean air.
Oh, don't. You said it last night on stream as well that Pro-Am was pretty clean. Tonight's going to be a mess. Yeah. You said it on stream. Also, when I was chasing Max Mulder down in race 2, you called me Matt Mulder.
Actually, no, I called Max Matt Mulder.
And what the fuck are you laughing at?
Hey, leave these boys alone. You weren't expecting all three of us being here, did you?
I expected you. I didn't expect you to qualify, so shit. Mike was kind of umming and ahhing. Mike was umming and ahhing. Gary, I thought no chance.
I opted to just stick with the slicks and hopefully it would come to me and I just get that one banker lap in. Cheers, Smithy and Gary.
Tryhards, can't I, Matt?
Where's this been for last week's seasons?
Gary? He was just slow.
Matt, the amount of people that slid out, it was so close to like collecting someone. It was fucking unreal. I feel for the poor bloke who was behind me coming through the old hairpin as Dennis Newman rolled backwards onto the track. So I jinked round him and managed to keep control a bit after a wobble, and the other fucker didn't have time. Smashed him, I think.
The way I see it, he retired. Martin retired. Morton retired. And Overtaker disqualified is the way I've got them down on the results page.
Overtaker's not got an excuse. Have you seen what he's put on the
read
stream?
Read it. And
There's no excuse. It tells you fucking go that side.
Yeah. I did think Gary was out of position because he looked a little close and to his driver, and I thought, is Gary or is it the other one? And everybody were fine last night and tonight, bar one. Fucking Gary, where was this last season?
Mate, it weren't Donny.
Fair point.
Right, Donny, wet.
So,
oh my sweet Jesus, I hope this race isn't like this.
This is how we had it last night, mate.
This is how it was before the server reset, mate.
Holy shit.
Let's watch him go around. Let's watch him. Where is he? If you remember, Gary, this is the precise weather it was when you slipped and dropped all your chips.
Yeah, I'm well aware.
Still there somewhere, mate, if you want to spin around and grab him.
Yeah, this is exactly what it was before we reset the server.
Brilliant. Magic.
To be fair, after a couple of cars, it gets better.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's literally the first couple of laps.
Yeah, Peace will finish third as well.
This is definitely wet tyres.
Yeah, so we've had
it's
the best
definitely not
start
dry as
already,
this, Gary.
Smith. We've had myself win, Gary second, and Peaceful is third.
Yeah, boys.
I would say the vets have got it, but I wasn't really a vet, to be honest.
I don't know. You are. You're up there in the top 10 of all-time
Yeah.
race starts.
Oh yeah.
The goal for that was just stay on the outside and just avoid anyone hitting me.
I'm gonna have to clip that with Dennis Newman. How I fucking didn't lose control because I ended up going on the grass. I don't know.
Oh shit! Where the hell am I off to?
Fuck me. Keep it in a straight line, Gary.
Is that ticket fucking overtaker?
Well, has one just gone in?
Yeah. I don't know if it's for you or for us.
No, it's race 1, lap 5, 81 Paolo. That's from it's from
going on me.
Alex Powell. Did you hit Nash?
It is this race.
Yeah.
Mate, he said it. He went, oh fuck, I've just clipped Nash.
Mate,
Yeah,
I've
I came
never
round.
known
I
anyone to
came.
brake so early in that hairpin. I was like,
Where
what
is
the hell are you doing?
Overtaker?
He's probably sulking. Oh well.
I'm not chasing people this season. If they've left the lobby and they don't come back.
Yeah. Nash is Nashing. He
Nash is
said,
in. Yeah,
"Can I
Nash
pop
is in.
out?"
Yeah, I saw that. Nash is back in. There's 22 cars again. 75% of the race they've got to do, innit?
Yes.
Yeah, so Dennis
To
Newman
score
did.
points.
Dennis Newman did
and
one
that's
lap.
only if it's disconnected. If they retire, then
Yeah,
fuck
so
them.
Martin did 2 laps, sat in the pits. Dennis Newman did 1 lap, sat in the pits.
Dennis only did 1 lap.
Yeah.
Are we still scoring them if they choose to retire then? And
No.
not disconnect?
No, because he just sat in the pit lane. No points, I thought.
But if he went in with the last lap, he wouldn't get back out.
No, he did 1 lap.
Oh, right, sorry, yeah, no, that's...
He
yeah,
did 1
okay.
lap, the other guy did 2
Oh,
laps.
right,
That's
I
a
thought you
retirement.
meant
No,
a
no.
lap before the end.
No. Right, I'm going to run to the toilet, chaps.
Alright.
I'm gonna do a classic Gary line. Yes, boy. Don't know.
Great start for the constructors, that, Dan.
Yeah, boy.
Like I say, I thought, oh, P15, I'm fucked. Because every time I start mid-park, I get fucked.
Do you know what it is? I've just realised. Matt's not racing. And you're on the podium again. What's the other saying that Gary says? There's drivers and then there's screwdrivers.
I got brain freeze, boys.
I don't think my pressures are up for this, you know.
Oh,
He's got brain free.
oh God. Jesus, that was cold.
Fucking hell, this is fucking shocking. My pressures are everywhere, well under.
Yeah, mine are like 21 or 29 at the minute.
Mine is round and black.
Mine's still
Think
at
over.
like mid-28s.
I think Overtaker's back in now. Oh,
Probably gonna be bone dry anyway. Collie's definitely gonna be bone dry.
Well, it'll be borderline, I reckon. Because if you think, in 30 minutes, it's still 2 bands of rain. And you've got another 15 minutes on top of that. So I think it might start wet.
Did that Clouding go wide at the start of the race?
I don't know if he got pushed wide. It was somewhere in front. It was up Gary's end.
Braking too late.
What? Where?
What do you mean, what does it matter?
I guess it does matter then.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Hello.
Bye.
Dan, oh, did you hear him, did you?
Yeah, I'm a loud cunt.
Stress, Gary.
Shit, you meant to change your ECU man for the way, didn't you?
Not necessarily.
I don't.
I don't.
Sounds like bullshit.
Fully loaded, aggressive as fuck. That'll do. All I know is if the weather's like this, I need to up my tyres by 2 psi. Or 1.5 maybe.
Do you need to change your brakes for the wet?
No, I generally keep them as 1. You meant
Yeah,
to?
the same.
Oh shit, we've still got quality, haven't we? I've just filled my tank up with fuel.
And it's getting wetter.
Oh, right, so 22 wet, so you want to go on 29.5.
Shh.
Don't worry about it, I'm fucking well above them pressures.
5, 4,
I am
3.
ballooned, mate.
All right, we'll wait for you to finish your conversation. It's fine.
You just went shh.
I didn't even hear you fucking
You
come
didn't
in,
yeah.
5, 4, 3. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to SimPlay Motorsport here for the qualifying 2. And yes, the rain did get worse over the 2-hour break, or the 1 hour that finished the race and the 1 hour of that second free practice session. It is wetter. And it is only getting wetter as this session goes on, which means race 2 could be an absolute nightmare. It is qualifying 2. We have all the drivers, I do believe, back out there. Yep, all the drivers back in the lobby and ready to go. First car out on track is that of the Overtaker in the wet conditions. The disqualification in race 1 means he's got hard work to do to claw points back already in this second race. What can he do? We have the top 3 in the commentary box, and Dan said it last night. Kelly and Matt in the box, the 2 veterans of Pro-Am back in. Well, we've got 3 veterans of Pro back in. We've got your 2-time champion, Gary131, your 7-time champion, Dan Davis, and I can't count on how many fingers Mike's won a championship. We will start with you, though, Mike. No championships to your name yet. You've got a good chance this year, and that's a good way to kick off the season.
It's a great start to the season, considering I started P15 after a really poor quali. Yeah, great start to the season, but it was a bit of graft to avoid for a few people.
Now, for the new viewers out there, what the saying normally is if we have a relatively clean or a clean Pro-Am, we have a chaotic Pro. It was a bit of that kind of same sort of situation tonight. It was a bit of carnage on that one.
Yeah, there's a few cars that had a few spins. I had to sort of jink right after the old hairpin, and some poor sod behind me ploughed straight into Dennis, I think, after that, because he didn't have time to react. But yeah, it was pretty tricky at times.
Good pace in the call, though. You decided to box early and clear a bit of traffic in front of you. We saw you behind, I believe it was Ramy Fernie at the time. Early pit stop, undercut. Clear strategy from you there to try and work your way through the traffic.
Yeah, I was coming up to a few and I thought it was about time to box and, like I say, try and clear a bit of the traffic. It was a bit dicey at times, trying to pass like a good group of 3 or 4 cars, so it's easier to clear them in the pits. Race 2 coming up. It looks like it's getting worse out there. What can you possibly do in this race? Hold on. Literally, it's quite slippy at the minute, but hopefully as cars go on track it'll clear a bit away, but looks to be fun conditions. Yeah, it does indeed. Mike, congratulations on the P3 Best Luck Race 2. Thank you. And we go to Gary Leach. Gary, it's been a while since we've seen you on the podium, but the last time you won a race was Kyle Army last season in a GT4, the very first race of that. It was nearly another race win tonight at one stage.
Yeah, as you know, I don't get much practice, so I didn't really have the pace, so I just turn up and have a good crack with the boys. But yeah, this is a bit dicey, I can tell you that for nothing.
Turn up, have a good crack with the boys, but a few things in your favour tonight. Wet, British circuit, Donington Park in particular, and you're in a Porsche. Them three things kind of go together.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say, to be honest. I just wish I'd get more time to put the time in and get the setups right, but
obviously,
family life.
Exactly. Leaving kind of Jaeger Motorsport merging with Barry the Cat Racing. You've obviously teamed up with Sky this year. Staying in the Porsche. What's your goals for this season, I suppose? Because obviously P2 I bet you didn't expect, but yet you've got it.
Yeah, well, you know, same as any other year, just do your best, pick up some points for the team, and yeah, see how you get on, really.
Exactly. Race 2 looks like it's going to be horrendous, Gary. What can you do?
Keep it on the black stuff will be the main aim here, to be fair. Try not to make any silly mistakes and not get caught up in anyone else's silly mistakes, and yeah, try to keep all four wheels pointing in the right direction.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. We'll let you get on with your mid-session tweaks, as we know you like to make for race 2. Best luck, buddy.
Cheers, mate. Well done, boys.
And we go to Dan Davis, Pro-Am champion last season in season 3, becomes a 7-time champion. Dan, it wasn't the qualifying for you that you wanted, and the race kind of opened its doors for you.
Yeah, I kind of took a gamble. I mean, it was those weird conditions where it's either dry or it's either wet. Gambled on the dries and it just didn't work. I stayed out and should have come in for the wets, but it is what it is. But it all worked out in the end in the race. You don't win points in qualifying, you win them in the race. So,
yeah, exactly. It worked well for you as well, because like we say, there was a bit of collisions throughout the race, throughout the whole session. That led to you sort of being able to pick off drivers one by one. And again, similar to Mike, a strategy of ours on the back of another car, pit early, get them out the way.
Yeah, I just know some of the drivers you know who to race against. So you know who you can get past, who you can't get past. So it was all about just picking my fights, and I just knew I had to survive lap 1. Caught up to the back of Ramey Fernie, aka Smokey, as I best know him. I just knew he wasn't going to make my life easy, so it was just easier just to get into pits, get the clean air, and then just take away the time to Gary. And I knew with Overtaker having a drive-through as well, it was just nail the lap times in, creep my way up ever so slowly, and yeah, race win in the bag already. So and it's Donington Park. Normally I'm cursed here. Well,
normally you're cursed here. You are actually the most successful driver here. 2 wins and 2 poles to your name before going into tonight. You always say, and you make it well known to the public as well, that you don't really like to race on British circuits. They don't suit the way you drive. You always seem to go well on them.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I guess they're a bit unorthodox. They're a bit different. I don't like the way they feel personally, but yeah, I think it's just luck. I think just knowing you're doing a lot of driving in other leagues at the minute, learning how other drivers behave, and just really perfecting my racing craft. Yes, I may not be the fastest on one lap, but my racecraft is definitely up there with the best. So yeah, I always do my racing well, and just lucky that it's British circuits I seem to do well, but I don't like them.
Race 2 looks like it's going to be quite a wet one if this qualifying session's anything to go by. What can you do from there? Obviously, you look like you're having a better qualifying at the moment.
I'm just having bad traffic at the minute. I've been stuck behind Overtaker for God knows how long. But yeah, it's I like the wet. I do like the wet a lot, and the wetter it is, the better I tend to go. But hopefully it stays this wet, because I have got quite good confidence in this Lambo. And yeah, just try and get the better position in the qualifying and work my way up the order.
Well, Dan, we'll leave you to it. Best of luck for the race. Dan Davis, currently P5 at the moment, race winner from race 1 as Monkey Boy goes into P20. Darren Yeo now looking to move himself up the leaderboard with his first lap time on the board. Gets to the line now. He puts himself into P18, 271. That is Dennis Newman, his teammate, currently down in 17th place. He'll be looking to climb up a few spots. He does. He moves into 14th place. That behind him then is Martin, retirement in race 1. He improves. He now goes into P17. Then it's car 44, Nash. Not his debut that he'd have wanted after starting so high up, but he's currently fastest lap he got in the first race. Looking to get that pole position here. He leads by just under a tenth and a half to Fury in this one, and he rounds Goddard's now. Gets the power down to the line. Can he extend that lead? No, he cannot. Car 95 is the next one to the line, and that is Coutiers. And again, if I am butchering any of these names, please, voice note me to tell me how they are pronounced. He stays P6. Dan Davis to the line, moves up into second place, finds a bit more time there. There is Clouden crossing the line. No improvement for him. Gary Leach down in 15th place. He's not looking so good at the moment. Alex Powell to the line now. What can he do? There is DeFizz behind. He stays P13. Now, that's one of the... two old AMs. I believe that's Graham who's just moved up the leaderboard. Indeed it was. Car 82. And I have to say, while Dan's still in the party, I do have to agree with what you were saying last night. It is so difficult to not call the guys their PSN names. It's incredibly difficult. Best of luck, Dan, in the race. 271 next to the line then. What will he be doing? That is Dennis Newman. Overtaker's on an invalid lap. Car off that is Fury. Dan's got just under 5.5 minutes to get to the line, to get back out there and get some more times in. It is getting wetter though, so yeah, it's not exactly doing anything in terms of improving. Fury to the line. Nash just behind Fury. He's the next one to get there. That is car 77 pulling out the way. And Joe stays P3, stays the same gap behind. Nash improves, finds himself 100th of a second. Car 95. That is Coutiers. Smoky Devil. Ramy Fernie, the next car at the line then. No improvement for Coutiers. Here comes Ramy. Then it's Clouden. What will Clouden do? Gary Leach. He'll look to improve on his P16. Comes to the line, goes P15. Simon Blair. Not an improvement for him. Den Brave, can he improve? Then it's car 12 of Graham. Den Brave moves up to 16th place. What can Graham do? Stays down in 20th. His teammate's the next car on a valid lap. Really pouring down here at Donington Park now for race 2. Monkey Boys goes a little deep. Manages to bring it back and down towards the line. Can he find any more time here? No. Carries on his way. Darren Yeo. Raced all of each other in the Pro-Am last season. Darren goes ahead of both the two old AMs. Up the order. Overtaker next to the line. He's currently 9th place at the moment. Overtaker's next to the line. That I do believe is Dan Davis in front of him. Yes, it is. And Overtaker now moves up into 2nd place. So good lap from Overtaker, putting himself back on the front row. It's Fury next, from then Nash, with 3.5 minutes remaining in this session. Fury to the line, no improvement. Nash to the line, he could do with finding a little bit. Does find a little bit. Who's next? It's Gary Leach. Car 131, down the order. And after that, it's all the way back to Mike Matthews. And whoever's just in front of him, I can't quite make out the number just in front of Mike, so we will go to Mike Matthews next. Gary 131 into Goddard's now. And down the start line he comes towards the line now. Stays P15. It is Paolo in front. Weather is a bit like our last visit. Well, no. August was quite sunny in the day, very wet at night, Laura, I'd say. As Mike Matthews comes into Goddard's. Sky for the win, says Tracy. Mike now rounds Goddard's. Can he improve on his time? He's currently P12. And stays P12. Car 35, that'll be Daz. Again to the line. Daz stays P20th. Just not finding the pace. His teammate, that of Dennis Newman, currently 14th fastest at the moment. Unorthodox Dan Davis just behind him. 14th fastest for Dennis Newman. Dan Davis stays where he is. Overtaker on a flyer. Can he improve? No improvement for him. Fury. That'll be an invalid lap. So it's Nash next. And what can Nash do? Does he find any more time? No, he does not. 77. That is Sherry. He stays. He moves P21 to Graham and Monkey Boy. Andrew Taylor. Dropping down the order. Gary Leach. Invalid lap. Simon Blair behind him. It was like this in April. Not as heavy. And here comes Simon Blair then down towards the start line. Any improvement? Does. Moves up to P12. Great run from him. Now Mike Matthews. And the weather, to be fair, is getting that bad. I can't see many people improving. Someone else improved there. That was Van Brave. As Mike Matthews stays down in P14. Darren Yeo's coming to the line. Darren Yeo to the line. Doesn't improve any. Starting the last lap though now. Fury. Joe on his second to last run. He will get one more. Gary Leach is done. Sherry is also done. And car 69. Simon Blair, I believe, is also done as well. I don't think he's going to get another lap in from there. Here comes Joe then. Rounds the final corner. Joe needs 2/10. Can't find anything. We know Nash is on an invalid one. Car 36, Clouden. Dan Davis is done. Will not improve on his P3. He's got an invalid lap. There's a couple of other cars that are done as well. Here comes Clouden on a valid lap. It's car 99 that's next. That is Monkey Boy. Clouden to the line. Stays P11. What about Monkey Boy? Can he find any more time? Can he find any more pace? No. Monkey Boy will start dead last in this second race. What about Mike then? So Monkey Boy 23rd in both races at the moment. What about Mark Matthews? He improves to P7 at the very end. Good last lap for him. Losser out there. Overtaker's just invalidated his lap. And that is qualifying done. It is going to be Arn Ash, who took the fastest lap in the first race, on pole position from Overtaker. So first and second for him. Dan Davis better qualifying. He'll line up P3. With Joe in P4. Then it'll be Luke P5. Good qualifying from Luke. Good day from Luke today, to be fair. Alex Powell, better qualifying from him. He'll be P6. P7 will be Mike Matthews at the end of that one. Good run. Ramy Fernie will be P8. The rain's going to get lighter over the next half an hour, so that's interesting to see. Cutius, P9. P10 will go the way of Sky. P11 for Den Brave. Clouden will be P10. 12, sorry. Losser, P13. Simon Blair, P14. We're inputting this on the spreadsheet as we go. That's why I'm sort of quiet as we do this. P15 will be DeFizz. P16, Dennis Newman. 17 will be Gary Leach. Not the qualifying he was hoping for after a good, strong first race. Paolo down in 18th. If anybody can come through the field, though, I imagine Gary could. Martin will be P19. Darren Yeo, P20. And as we know, 21st for Sherry, 22nd for Graham, and 23rd for Monkey Boy. So then, with the pole positions in Pro today, Lamborghini and McLaren. Lamborghini 64 pole positions, McLaren on 58. With that race win, though, for the Lamborghini, that's Lamborghini's 189th race win. So an interesting one. Mercedes... that's podiums. It's 189th podium, 239th podium for Porsche, and 60th podium for Ferrari. Lamborghini's race win gives it its 59th race win. It is third on the all-time list, now one ahead of Porsche. As we are underway then, the formation lap starts. Going to be interesting to see. Dan Davis, race win number 75, podium number 166 for Dan Davis. Can he add to that tally? That is going to be the biggest question. Can he add to that tally? Well, let's see. The 6th all-time most race starts here at SimPlay Motorsport. Gary's the 2nd. Mike is the 5th. So for Dan, 6th on all-time race starts. What can he do here? Poll going out for your race winner. Good luck, driver, says Water in the chat. Going to the media day. Yeah. Going to the media day at Donny Jamie on the 16th of April. So if you're there, come and say hi. Hopefully it's not this weather. Why is Sky not on pole? Because he wasn't fast enough, Max. It's unfortunate because Tibbs this year, you know, I'm keeping a close eye on Tibbs. He's developed and got quite well. I like the looks of Tibbs at the moment. I think he's one of these drivers that is, is really starting to put a shift in and looks a good driver at the moment. Tibbs for the win, says Tracy. So there's a vote for Tibbs. Nash has got a couple of votes already leading the poll. As through the foggy TS as they go. This could be a fantastic race here, in all fairness. This could be an absolute belter. The real wet conditions. This is how Pro-Am had it last night. If you watched the Pro-Am race last night, this is how we had it. And what a night of racing that was. What a night of action and drama that was. So it's Nash. Who will lead them away? As we, for race 2 of the season, are about to go green here at Donington Park. The two old Pro-Ams come round the final corner. It's green and go, and Dennis Newman now gets a drive-through penalty for being out of position at the start as they all head down towards turn 1. Dan's looking up the inside of Overtaker, who's going round the outside of Nash. It is Dan Davis and Overtaker who will be side by side coming down the Crater curves. We all look relatively clean through turn 1, and Dan gets ahead of Overtaker into the Crater curves. Dan from Overtaker. Overtaker looked like he was on the grass a little bit there. Manages to keep it all together, but now Joe's looking to try and get past him. Where is Joe? The camera's going crazy. Did he get the Overtaker done? Nash, Dan, Joe, Overtaker. Yes, he did. Overtaker falling down the order here as Ramy Fernie on the back of Alex Powell. Mike Matthews on the back of Luke in the background as well. There is Sky. And then Cutius here. Den Brave. And then it is De Fizz. With Gary Leach right on the back of him. He's had an impressive start. So has Graham Sutcliffe. He's come up a couple of places. Martin down the back of the pack. He's had a nightmare, but out front it is Nash leading from Dan. Lamborghini 1-2 at the moment. Not the same team as Dan. Gets it a bit too much on the curb. And now his teammate of Season 1 ACC, Fury. Joe flies past him. Now Overtaker's going to have a look at Dan. Down towards Melbourne. They make contact. Contact is made. And Overtaker gets the cutback. And gets the move done back on Dan. And now Dan to the outside. That is Sky looking to make a move. He was just having a look on Mike there for a brief moment. Gary Leach as well having a look on Den Brave, but can't do it round the inside of Gollards. That is Graham going shoulder to shoulder that with Dennis Newman, who does not pit. No, Dennis Newman does pit. That was Darren Yo, sorry. Overtaker's got ahead of Dan then, and Dan's now got Alex Powell on the back of him as Dan down the Craner curves on the back of Overtaker. Joe trying to put Nash under some pressure as they come under Starkey's Bridge. Overtaker has got Dan breathing down his neck. We've said this before. Drive-through cleared for Dennis Newman. through McLean's. 42 minutes left of this race. It's been absolutely fantastic already. Great scrapping. And 2 championship protagonists are going at it already. Dan versus Overtaker. Gary Leach still on the back of Dan Brave. Sky is trying to stay on the back of Mike Matthews. Down the pack a little bit more. Graham trying to gain on the pack of Sherry. You've got Clouden on the back of Darren Yo. Andrew Taylor there on the back of Paolo as well. But Dan Davis, what's happened to Nash? No, that's not Nash. Apologies, that was Overtaker, who was off. And Dan Davis back into P3. Overtaker's deep. Raimi Fernie on the inside of Alex, who was deep as well, and is now side by side with Overtaker. And could he gain 2 places here? Overtaker into Goddard. Needs to get his braking right. Oh, I think Sky. Oh, he's off into the wall. Huge incident for Tibbs. He collected, I believe it was Alex who was caught up in that. Indeed it was. And Alex and Tibbs have come together. Now Raimi Fernie is putting that of Overtaker under some immense pressure here. Down to the Craners. Mike Matthews sitting in a comfortable P6. Sky's in the pits here. Joe on the back, by the way, of Nash. Dan's got a recatch. He's 2 up. Joe putting Nash under immense pressure as well as they come up to McLean's. Nash is going to have to fight hard for this. And it's Joe now looking to put the newbie under pressure. Overtaker's just pulled away from Raimi a little bit. Then you got Mike Matthews and Luke down the pack a little bit. Simon Blair trying to put the Ferrari 296 of Coutiers under pressure. Darren Yo looking to stick with Graham. And Clouden on the back of Paolo. I believe that's changed though. He's now ahead of Paolo. Alex is still going. He's ahead of Monkey Boy or Andrew Taylor. But for Sky, he's in the pits. And Joe, what has happened to Nash? Because Joe leads this race. So Joe leads from Nash. Dan Davis catching in the background. And Mike Matthews bringing Luke with him on the back of Raimi Fernie. This is how it was in race 1 between these 3. Coutiers looking to keep with DeFrizz. Simon Blair there as well as Gary Leach up to 12th. Kevin Losser, Sherry, Darren Yo, Clouden, Paolo. Graham's had a moment somewhere. He's had a little excursion. Then it's Andrew Taylor, Morton, Dennis Newman after his drive-through, and Alex Powell comes into the pits. Is that a return to pits or as he came to pits? You see the damage on the front bonnet of Tibbs there. But it is Joe who leads from Nash, from Dan Davis. Overtaker is in 4th from Raimi Fernie. Mike's dropped back a little bit. Then it is Luke. Come on, Fury, says his granddad in the chat. Tony will be cheering him on. And rightly so. Simon Blair looking on the back of Coutiers here. Absolutely trying to charge through the field is Simon Blair. We head to Zolder next week for rounds 3 and 4 of Pro-Am and Pro. You can join Dan Davis live on Wednesday night for the Pro-Am action. You can join myself and hopefully PM Motorsport will be back in the box for all the Pro-Am action. But what a race so far. Now Laura, Fury's mum, saying, come on, Fury. Mike Matthews within 700ths of Smokey Devil. In fact, it's not even Smokey Devil, it is Overtaker. Apologies. So he's made a mistake. Raimi Fernie's gone through, and now Mike trying to go side by side with Overtaker. Did he keep it side by side? I believe he has, as they come up towards Goddard's. Overtaker and Mike just rubbed doors a little bit there. And Mike up the inside. Thank you, Mama, for the carrots. Alex Powell and Sky still in the pits. What a train of cars. Joe from Nash gapping him. They've gapped Dan as well. Then it's Raimi Fernie, Mike Matthews, Overtaker, Luke, DeBrave. Then it's DeFizz with Coutiers and Simon Blair. And now Gary Leach right up the rear wing. Great racing here at Donington Park. It's been an absolute thriller. Coutiers a little wide. Does that give Simon Blair the chance to look up the inside on the exit of the old hairpin? No, it does not. Oh, Gary just a bit tappy on the back there. Clouden gaining on the back of Darren Yo. just further down the pack. But what racing this is. Simon Blair trying to attack and defend in the Scottish colours for the Haggis Munchers. Really looking to get some jobs done here. Through the Fogarty S as they go. Manages to stay in front of Gary. Mike Matthews hasn't pulled away from Overtaker just yet. Little wiggle on Crutius's car. In fact, Overtaker side by side with Mike. Squeezes Mike up the inside. They make contact. Overtaker now looks to tuck back underneath. Can't do so. And a flash of the lights here from Overtaker. Mike sticks to his line. Overtaker goes to the outside. Here at Redgate, Mike gives him the room on the outside. Round Redgate they go. Very racy these two are here. And Overtaker looks to go side by side with Mike. Backs out of that coming down the Craner curves. Very wide through the Craners there was Overtaker. Hard on the brakes. Into the old hairpin. Was there a bit of contact between the two of them there, I wonder? Little wiggly for Mike and Overtaker. And now Luke capitalising on this and wants a piece of the action into McLean's. Mike holds a tighter inside line. He's a wily old fox. When it comes to defending, Luke had a little moment in the background. Keeps it together. Joe's gap back under a second to Orn Ash. Where's Dan Davis? 4.1 behind. Overtaker very slippery and slidey out of copies. I think that'll let Mike off the hook a little bit. Alex Powell still in the pit. Sky is back out. Alex needs to get out on track and do 75% of the race. Otherwise that will be a retirement. Through the Fogarty S's. This is Siri on the back of Loza. We're going back to Mike and Overtaker with Luke. Then De Brave, De Fizz, Cutius, Simon Blair, Gary 131, Loza with Siri. Then Darren Yo, Clouden, Dennis Newman trying to gain on the back of Martin. What a race, what a race, what a night. Graham, then Paolo. Tibbs is now ahead of Alex, so Alex did return to the pits because Tibbs has passed him there. Overtaker once again looking to get on the rear wing of Mike Matthews' Ferrari 296. Joe's managed to extend his gap back open out front. And this is a great piece of action down there. Back a little bit, look. I think Luke's had a problem because Den Brave's looking up the inside of him into McLean's. And Den Brave, easy as you like. It's not finished yet. It is now because the Aston Martin got all over the grass. In fact, Cutius has passed to Frizz. And what has happened to Gary Leach? Oh no, he's still 12th. Apologies, just didn't see his car come through. DeFizz slow and Cutius passed him. Simon Blair, where is he? He's behind Gary Leach. Car 99 is off. That is Andrew Taylor, who is stationary. Sounds like he's going again now. Gary Leach trying to make moves. Back to Overtaker and Mike. This is a cracking scrap into Goddard's. Giving it a wide berth is Overtaker, hoping to swing it back in, but lost a bit too much time in doing so there. Alex Powell still in the pits. Dan Brave and Luke looking to go side by side. Great opener for Luke here in the Pro in the Aston Martin. Really is a good start to his season. And look at the battles. Then you got Cutius on the back of this. And it's DeFizz. Gary 131. Blair. Clouden's in the pits. Has he hit something? Has he got damage? Low on fuel? The pit window doesn't open just yet. Martin trying to get on the back of Dennis Newman. In fact, that's Newman coming through the pack. Andrew Taylor's got a bit of time to catch up to Paolo. Tibbs a couple of laps back. Tibbs knows for him it's just points. Now at the end of today, Luke trying to put Dan Brave under pressure. Really is trying to put Dan Brave under some pressure. It's been a fantastic opener to this season here in the Pro. As Clouden tumbles down the order, I imagine Monkey Boy should get through. In fact, no, Clouden, car 36 is leaving the pit lane, so Monkey Boy will not get past him. But he's got to pit again as Clouden. His pit stop isn't done yet. The pit window isn't open. Joe 1.4 clear of Nash. Nash 5.5 behind Dan Davis. Ahead of Dan Davis. Simon Blair coming back on Gary Leach. Gary Leach getting close to the back of Coutiers here. Overtaker's back within 2/10 of Mike Matthews. Still not close enough though. Mike's managing this quite comfortably here. The problem for Mike is he cannot get after Smoky Devil. Now the rain is going to lighten and then start to get heavier in the next half an hour. So just at the end of this race, the rain is going to get heavier again. So as the track will improve slightly with these 23 cars going around it. 22 at the minute because Alex isn't out there. It's also not. What has happened to Luke? He's been dropped by Dan Brave and now he's been overtaken down the craners. Where's Gary Leach? Gary has had a mistake there somewhere. He's down in 15th place, but Luke loses 2 more places down the craner curves. He's down to 10th. What has happened to Gary Leach then? Graham trying to gain on the back of Paolo. Not seeing much of Graham tonight. Oh, now Luke's off again. And De Fizz isn't close enough to capitalise. Neither is Loza or Sherry. Darren Yo. And then Gary Leach. And Dan Davis just does not have the pace of the top 2 at the moment. We saw Joe and Gary have a fantastic fight here in the wet in December last year, back end of November, in the wet night conditions as well. Well, they're doing the same here. Except not Gary. This time it's Harnash. Oh, Fury all over the curb just before Hollywood. Has a little wiggle, little moment. Overtaker's back within a 10th. He's pretty much pushing Mike down the start straight. He's not allowing Mike to come back across into the braking zone. He's going to look around the outside. They make contact again. An Overtaker a little squirrely now on the exit of Redgate, but more contact from these two. Ding-dong's happening already. Nash getting closer to Fury. Back down to De Fizz. Getting closer to the back of Luke. Coutiers has been passed by Simon Blair. So drama wherever you look. Graham's getting close to Paolo. Martin's trying to come with him. There is chaos wherever you look at the moment. Pit window now opens. So for Clouden, he could arguably get himself in the pits. Tibbs has come back in. Tibbs has just got to get out, get to the end and score points, bless him, tonight. What about Monkey Boy? He's got big damage. I assume he's going to pit as well. As the 2 leaders are coming around, yet. No, Monkey Boy stays out on track. Here come the leaders then. 7/10 of a second separating them. Does any of them think of pitting? No, they do not. What about D. Davis? Stays out. Overtaker and Mike side by side. No, not quite. Overtaker's still behind. Mike doing a brilliant job at just covering Overtaker off here. None of them think of undercutting the other. There's Den Brave in the background. Down towards Redgate corner they come once again. And Mike still ahead of Overtaker. And through they come. Luke comes into the pits. Is Gary going to think of boxing early? Gary's in. Clouden's done his stops. Gary's in. Gary's got big damage to the front of that car. So that's possibly... He's probably had a moment somewhere, hit a wall or something. Dennis stays out. Paolo stays out. Graham comes in. I wonder if Martin will come in as well. He's very slow, is Martin. Into the pit lane. This will help Monkey Boy just catch them ever so slightly. Monkey Boy's got to be careful here. Monkey Boy's probably wise if he does pit. He's got the leaders really charging at him. An Overtaker has a good run on Mike now. Just under 4/10. He pulls out to the outside the Fogarty S's. It was pretty sharp a pull out that from Overtaker. It's not going to distract Mike though. And now he's going to look up the inside at the Melbourne hairpin. Can't do so. Camera pans out. Overtaker's going to find the long way around Mike. Just parks it on the apex. Textbook stuff that from Mike Matthews. Monkey Boy, A. Taylor did pit, yeah, so he's in the pits. Now Overtaker to the outside of Mike. You're not going to get it done around there. And Mike again, just possibly frustrating Overtaker a little bit here. This is a great little scrap. Gap out front's back to 6/10. Mike Matthews leads into Redgate corner. This is the closest fight on track. Overtaker versus Mike Matthews. Darren Yeo into the pits. Still Sky and Alex in there. They need to get back out, really. Need to make sure they get 75% of this race done. This the battle though for 5th and 6th. Mike's gapped Overtaker a little bit. It's this last sector where Overtaker gets a good run. He needs a better first and middle sector to have a chance at Mike. Now what's happened out front, because Nash leads from Joe. Well, it looks like he's just had a bit of a wobble through the fog at TS's. And now Joe's going to try and come back at him at the Melbourne hairpin. No, he does not. So Nash re-leads this race. Andrew Taylor's on his way out the pits. Darren Yeo's on his way out the pits. It is a very wide Ferrari indeed, and we've now got a very wide Lamborghini. Go back to Mike and Overtaker. Gap's just widened a little bit. Mike has brought it down to Ramey Fernie. But Joe chasing Nash here then. Neither of these two on the podium in race 1. Dan will be the only one to take a double podium today. Ramey Fernie running well in P4. And you got Mike and Overtaker, who is still scrapping hard. Overtaker trying each way till Sunday to get past him, but it's just not happening for him at the moment, and that's the problem. 25 minutes left in this race. We've got 10 minutes left of the pit window. DeFizz is now in. Now Overtaker's a bit closer this time around. That looks a lot better for him. Let's just check on Joe and Nash. That gap's extended a little bit. Back to the Mike Overtaker fight. And it's who blinks first, really, when you think about it in this state here. None of these drivers are going to want to blink. Overtaker right up the gearbox, that Ferrari 296 and his McLaren Evo. Paolo still to pit. DeFizz and Luke have pitted. Overtaker pulls out on Mike. Mike brakes hard into the chicane, gets it stopped and through nicely. Dan's caught the leaders a little bit. Overtaker now to the outside of the Melbourne hairpin. Here, he's got ahead, but has gone so straight on. Tried to be a day so late on the brakes, but he was a day late and $1 short. Top 3 don't pit. Now Overtaker's going to look to send one up the inside. They make contact again. Oh, Mike spins him around. And Overtaker now gets overtaken by Den Brave. Mike stays out. Overtaker's in. Simon Blair stays out as well as Coutiers. So, wow. Contact again between Mike and Overtaker. We have lost a driver. I believe we've lost Martin. So that'll be a DNF for him. That's 2 DNFs already, so no points in week 1. 2 race starts, no points in either race. That is not the way you want to start your season. At all. So Joe 9/10 from Nash. Paolo's now into the pits. Overtaker is out. Did he get ahead of Luke? He did. He's right up the rear wing of Dennis Newman now, his Overtaker. So didn't repair any damage that he may have had. Nash and Joe are coming to the start line. They both stay out. What about unorthodox? Dan Davis. SimPlay racing for the championship, says their former driver Amplava. Here comes Ramey Fernie. Mike can now head after him. Mike's actually closed the gap to him down to 2.6. So Mike's charging on the back of Ramey here. Now that he's had to stop defending from Overtaker, he's coming. And them two both stay out. Den Brave comes into the pit. Simon Blair stays out. Coutier stays out. What about Loza? He stays out. Then it's Sherry. But oh, Dennis Newman nearly into the back of Overtaker there. He's had to take to the grass. Now Overtaker's trying to pass the traffic of everybody else because, well, he's got to try and make up as much time as possible. He's going to go side by side with Sherry down the Craner curves. This is for position. So Sherry doesn't have to move out of the way. Overtaker's on the grass a little bit and backs out of that one. This is costing him time here. And he will not be enjoying this one little bit. Right, Nash started to pull a bit of a gap from Fury. They both stay out on track here. They've got 6 minutes 40 left of the pit window. Dan stays out as well. Remy Fernie's now 1.8 clear of Mike Matthews. Tibbs and Alex Powell 10 and 12 laps down. That's going to be a DNF for them too. It's going to be a retirement. Remy stays out. Mike stays out. Simon Blair, what about Overtaker? He's still behind Sherry at the moment. Damage to his McLaren and just feels... Do you feel like he's just trying a bit too hard at the minute? Coutiers comes in. Did he pit at the wrong time because of the traffic? Looking up the inside, very wiggly there. Does well to get it stopped. He's still going to have that inside line over Sherry. And Sherry wanted to pit, so he braked and let the Overtaker go. Dennis Newman stays out. And you saw Fury and Nash coming down the SimPlay straight there into the Fogarty S's. So Overtaker now is P9. Joe's back under a second to Coutiers. No other battles on track really at the moment. And that is the lapped car getting out the way of Nash. Fury there as well. That is Andrew Taylor staying out the way. Well done, Davis. See him in the background. Just doesn't have the pace of the front two to close in on them. Remy Fernie, though, is being closed down by, as Fury's run the fastest lap of the race. But Mike Matthews really closing in on Remy Fernie here. I wonder when these two will pit. They don't decide to at the moment. So they carry on their way. Simon Blair, final corner of Goddard's. Half a second out front. Joe's charging again here. Joe's on a bit of a mission at the moment for this race win. He wants it. He wants it bad. Second on the all-time win list here at SimPlay Motorsport. So we'll absolutely want another one to his name, especially now Dan's just got one. Lost a 10th in the middle sector. Mike's within 1.1. Siri, 6/10 off the back of Gary Leach, and Courteous here on the back of Luke by 4/10. It's a good fight for 11th and 12th, just outside the points at the moment. Into the old hairpin they come. Coutiers doing well to defend so far. Down to Graham. He's gaining on the back of Clouden. There is Clouden. 7/10 of a second in front. Dan Davis boxes. So he's the first of the top three to pit. Mike Matthews got within 7/10 of Remy Fernie. Will these two pit now as well? It's quiet and down it has through the second part of this race. But the rain getting heavier over the next 10 minutes. Mike Matthews is in. He's gone for the undercut on Remy Fernie. Simon Blair stays out. Losser, I imagine, will start. So where is Overtaker? He's currently gone through Melbourne. Heads up towards Goddard's. Wait for Mike Matthews to go green. Dan Davis has done so and gone. Mike Matthews still not gone green yet. I tell you what, Overtaker could jump him here. And Overtaker does jump him here. So did Mike Matthews repair his damage? When he was catching Remy Fernie, Mike Matthews has lost out to Overtaker. That's not 6/10 at all. Closest gap on the track. Top three, Simon Blair and Dennis Newman, all still to pit. As well as the bottom drivers. We've lost Alex from the server now, so that is a DNF for Alex. No points in race 2. So we've already had 2 DNFs in race 1 and a disqualification. We've now had 2 DNFs in race 2, possibly 3 with Sky. Now Fury's just passed Nash in the pits. Did he come in too quick there? Was that a little too quick for Fury? So will Remy lead this race? Now in the pits he comes. Where's Dan Davis? At Goddard's. Nash is away. Joey's yet to go away. Has Dan Davis pulled a blinder out his back pocket? Joey's now away. Nash is already back out on the circuit. Where is Joe? He's behind Dan. The undercut has worked for him. Simon Blair stayed out. I think he's missed the pit window. Dennis Newman's going to have to pit this lap. So Nash leads Joe. Well, wasn't speeding into the pits or anything, but he's had a nightmare pit stop. He's now got to pass Simon Blair, who I think has missed the pit window here, and I think that's his race over. I think that's a 130-second penalty coming his way. Overtaker Mike, 6.5 seconds. Sherry gaining on the back of Gary Leach once again. Joe's had good pace. Has he just thrown away a P2? Or is it just a good strategy from Dan? Down the SimPlay straight they come now. It's been a fantastic race here at Donington Park. Remember, next week, Zolder is the place to be. What a fantastic track we have on store for you next week. Evening race as well as Fury. Now Joe pulls out up the inside of Melbourne. Simon Blair's got 17 seconds to get inside the pits. Joe gets it done. Runs deep. Simon Blair takes it back. Joe's going to try and fight this though. Yeah, Simon Blair's missed the pit window. That is game over for him. Pit window closed. Simon Blair has not done his stop. Neither did Dennis Newman. Simon Blair's in too late. He's just come in. He's just come in. Sheary now all over the back of Gary 131, who's got big damage. Fury missed his pit box, I imagine. That's what Jamie's trying to say. Sheary right on the back of Gary 131 here. The highs of race 1 to the lows of race 2 for Gary 131. Oh, Sheary got close to the back there. Still the fastest lap for Fury. Fantastic bit of racing from the boys then on the Pro Series. Zolder next week, Pro-Am and Pro. Dan Davis will bring you the Pro-Am action 8 PM GMT next Wednesday evening. I'll be back in the commentary box with PM Motorsport next Thursday for rounds 3 and 4 at Zolder. Evening race here, so it's going to be an interesting one. And as always, if you like what you see here, hit the thumbs up button, hit the bell to be notified, and hit that big red subscribe button, as well as go into the description. We'll get the description sorted for Bozzy's sponsors to be on there, but go into that description and check out the sponsors that we have. Our fantastic new overlays and designs by Bozzy Designs. Design Manchester for any personalised gifts that you could want for yourself or for a loved one, family or friend. And Audio Sport for any T4 parts. T3 as well, I do believe, are the other ones. Links are in the description, so you can check them guys out there. What a job they all do for the channel. And it's great to have such fantastic partners on board. Right then, Sherry's lost out to Gary a little bit. Luke's got within 8/10 of Den Brave. But we've also got Cutius within 8/10 of Luke. Luke's ran a little wide there. This could give Kutias the run that he needs. Overtaker's on the back of Smokey, Remy Fernie. This Simon Blair, look, no pit stop right in the back of this. Luke and Kutias side by side through Redgate. Great bit of action this. Dennis Newman's now in the pits, but it's going to count for nothing for him. Overtaker within half a second. We are going to stay with this fight though of Luke and Simon Blair. Can Luke get it back? Oh, he's a little wide there. Sorry, Kutias. He was a little wide there. Where's Kutias gone? He's a bit further up the road. Kutias had a good night of racing so far. Let's go to Overtaker. That's within a tenth. Oh, he had to cut the chicane a little bit there. Paolo missed it as well. Mike 7.8 behind, so he's not had the pace since the pit stop. And Joe's not caught onto the back of Dan either. That's 4.6 still. And now, Overtaker's got to try and catch Smokey Devil and get past him. Dennis Newman in the pits has been passed by Andrew Taylor. Overtaker looking up the inside into Redgate. Can't get it done there. So no move possible for Overtaker at the minute. 4.8 Nash to Dan. 4.6 Dan to Joe. It's a bigger gap here. Simon Blair's in the pits again. I don't know why he's re-pitting. It has not worked. The pit window is closed. Your pit stop will not count. Oh, Overtaker. All over the place. Luke gets through. DeFees is going to get through Overtaker nearly on the back of Ramy Ferdy's boot there. Wants to put his shopping in the car, but can't do so. Really pressuring the back of Ramy Fernie now. Mike's still 7.4 behind. Lost all pace since his pit stop. And now he's Overtaker. Going to look at the chicane. No, brakes early. Thinks better of it. Joe's within 1.6. I think Dan's had a problem, because Dan's dropped 8 seconds behind Nash. It is 1.6 to Joe. Now Overtaker's going to have a look on Ramy Fernie. Down in towards Melbourne. Ramy turns in, has to go a little deep because Overtaker's there. And that is a great move from Overtaker. I do believe Ramy's still with him though. Ramy's still got the run. He's still got the inside line for Goddard's. Oh, he runs wide, pushes Overtaker wide. And does Ramy give Overtaker the place? I believe he has. I believe so, yeah. Dennis Newman, Simon Blair still in the pits, not moving yet. So now Ramy has the chance to come back. Mike, 5.7 off the back of these two. Not really many other fights happening at the moment. Joe's gaining on Dan Davis, so that is 1.1. There you see. Ramy Fernie just trying to stay with him. Sherry and Gary Leach, they're having a battle. Gary's still got damage to the front end of that BTC Jaeger Racing. Wes is going to give the two old Ams, Graham and Andrew Taylor, a bit more joy here, because Dennis Newman's messed up. Simon Blair's now messed up. He's had another set of retirements. Couple of battles just looking to start developing here. Joe on Dan. That's down to a second now. Oh, Nash looks on for his first ever SimPlay race win. It's been a hard-fought race for him, though. He's not had it his own way. And the three in the pits. Wow. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. Kutias within 1.3 of Den Brave. Luke, 2 top 10s in an Aston Martin he wasn't confident in. That's a good race for him today. Now Joe's within a second. Now Joe can possibly strike. How much did we see these two battle in GT4s and in Porsche Cup? Well, now they get to do it on the grandest stage here at SimPlay Motorsport in the Pro category. Nash looks pretty comfortable to win this race. Through the Fogarty S's, Joey's really gaining on Dad. He pulled another 10th in the middle sector. Darren Yeo within a second of Sherry, so he's looking to get closer to Sherry, who's dropped right off the back of Gary. Ramy Fernie's dropped right off the back of Overtaker. He's got Mike catching him. And what's the gap now? That looks a bit close to an 8 tenths. It's still 8 tenths. A couple of hundredths pulled from Fury in that final sector. In his beloved M4. Down the crane of curves for the 24th time here. Simon Blair, Dennis Newman, Tibbs in the pits. We've lost Morton. And we've lost Alex Powell. As well, by the way, retirements. Let's not forget, retirements brings a qualifying ban. So it'll be a qualifying ban for them drivers. Race 2 of next week. Fury's got the fastest lap here. And that extra couple of points, I think it's an extra 5 points for the podium. Because that's the new thing here. Podium points this year. In fact, points all around are new. 55 points for a race win. Joe's within half a second now. He is really catching up. He is really catching up here. And now he's up the inside at Melbourne. And Dan's got to go the longer way around. Can he get this one done, Dan? Up the inside for Goddard. He keeps hold of his place. Joe's trying to tuck back underneath, but Dan's a wily old fox. You've got to wake up earlier and smell the coffee against Dan there. Good bit of racing from these former teammates. And now for the last 5 minutes, you feel we're getting a race on our hands. Mike 2.4 to Ramy. Overtaker's 4.2 ahead. Joe's having a look down the craners here. Oh, 2 wheels on the grass from Joe. Overtaker's just pumped in the fastest lap of the race. So he takes that extra point away from Joe, but Joe wants 5 extra points for second. He is looking really racy with Dan here in his BMW M4. Has a look up the inside at McLean's. Can't do it there. Comfortable victory in race 1 for Dan Davis. But now race 2, he's got to work hard for this. He's really got to get the best out of it. Dan Davis from Joe. We've seen these battles. Porsche Cup, GT4s, GT3s in the past as well. Dan a little across the gravel, but Joe had a big wiggle through the Fogarty S's. So Dan's little trip on the gravel there with 2 wheels didn't really let Joe capitalise. Although he's still right on the rear wing. Joe has gone deep at Melbourne. And that puts any chance of Goddard's to bed. So Joe just making a couple of mistakes here has let Dan off the hook. As we do lose Dennis Newman. So that is a double retirement for Dennis Newman. So no points for the German driver in today's race. Simon Blair, 5 laps down. You know, that'll have to be looked at. Who's that? Car 43. Ramy Fernie has had an off at the Fogarty S's. Mike has gone through. Dan Brave has gone through. Coutiers, Luke has all gone through. So Ramy's gone from 5th down to about 9th place here. Was looking so good for good points, but has tumbled down the order. That'll put that to bed. An order of the running with 3 minutes to go. It's On Ash from Dan Davis, Joe, Overtaker, Mike Matthews, Den Brave, Coutius, Luke, Ramy Fernie, DeFizz, Gary Leach, Sherry, Darren Yeo, Losser, Clouden, Paolo, Graham, Andrew Taylor, Simon Blair retired, Sky, Schundelmeyer retired. But Dan Davis has now started to gap Fury. So this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting. Can Joe get on the back of Dan? He's got about 2-3 laps at a push to get on the back of Dan. Not really anything happening down the order. The two old hams. Not the night for them. Down the pack a little bit. Sherry trying to come back at Gary Leach. Joe's now 2.6 behind Dan, so I think that is done. That is done. So we're going to get a poll in the chat for driver of the day. So D. Davis, Mike Matthews. Who else has had 2 good races? Let's have a look. Luke's been a good one. He's been up there. And then, in fact, you know what? Remy Fernie. He's had 2 good races, 2 top 10s. Gary hit and miss. Joe hit and miss. Overtaker disqualified race 1. Nash, hit and miss race 1 to race 2. Obviously, I know he got caught up in an incident. But the poll is out for driver of the day. Sherry is gaining on Gary 131 here. Gary Leach. 1 minute 12 left, but I don't believe we're now on the final lap. So just about to check where the leader was. We're now on the final lap. So for Sherry, he's got 2 laps to catch Gary Leach here and pass him. And I think Joe's mistakes, his long pit stop, well, that's allowed Dan Davis to get second place. Sherry, though, really trying to get on Gary. Cloudon's in the pits. What's he in the pits for? Out of fuel, possibly, or damage to the car? Camera will pan around. Looks no damage. Paolo's going to go through. Where's Graham? Oh, nowhere near. And has big damage. So, yeah, that's not going to happen for Graham. Sherry, though, this is going to be an interesting one. So, is Cloudon yet away? He's moving now. So, yeah, Graham will not get past him. But that isn't where he'd have wanted to be. Cloudon was running well in race 1 and he's not had the best of second race. That's probably going to be 16th place for him. As Sherry not close enough to Gary 131, but Nash comes up towards Goddard's. It is going to be a first race win of the season for Nash. A great start to his campaign here. Oh, Nash takes his first ever SimPlay Motorsport race win. What a drive from him. Dan Davis, great pit stop for a second place. Really good strategy from him there. Joe will come home for a P3. Good drive from him. And then Overtaker, who's took the fastest lap, is going to come back for 4th. Consolidating some points here. That is Losser, who has already crossed the line in 14th as well. Graham and Andrew Taylor crossed the line. Overtaker's going to come across for P4 and the fastest lap of the race. Mike Matthews, P5. Good points once again for him. Dan Brave. It's not a bad start. P6. As Paolo finishes the race in 15th. P6 for Dan Brave. Cutius is going to be P7. Luke, P8. Ramy Fernie, whatever happened at the end, a mistake from him, P9. There's Cloudon finishing in 16th place as well. DeFiz, is going to be P10, just rounding out the final points. And only just ahead of Gary Leach here then. So Gary Leach finishes down in P11. Sherry finishes P12. And then Darren Yeo finishes down in P13. So what a night's worth of dramatic action here and dramatic racing. It was absolutely fantastic from the word go till the very end. It really was some good stuff. And you have to say, a great drive from Nash at the end to bring up, what was a really good, really well-worked race win. It was really fantastic to see the driver do such a good drive there and have such good pace all along. He had a good fight with Fury early doors. Lost out his place to Fury, managed to get the place back, but all in all, Nash took a solid race win on his second outing. And again, hats off to Dan. A great strategy call for him. Put him in the pits before Joe, and Joe's longer pit stop, for whatever reason, cost him. He had that chance to get the place back at the very end, but it wasn't to be. And well, the big talking point of the race, the Overtaker versus Mike Matthews battle that raged on all race, which was absolutely fantastic to watch. I reckon there'll be words said off air about that one. We are joined by Fury and by Dan Davis now, though, so we'll start with Joe. Joe, a better race 2 than race 1. Just trying to think of the right way to sort of ask this question. Did you throw that away for a P2?
No, my car had a hissy fit, gave me a yellow engine light, and it had no power out of the corners.
So struggling with the car at the end of the race?
Yeah, it was not happy. I mean, it was kind of my fault. I was chucking everything I had at the car, and it was taking it throughout the whole race. And I'm guessing just banging it off a limiter too many times, downshifting, eventually came back and hit me in the face.
Now, it's great to see. We've obviously seen yourself and Dan throughout the seasons of Porsche Cup and GT4s and GT3s in the past have a great battle. You reignited that. Obviously, it's all gloves off, no teammates. You're running in as an independent. Good fight with Dan once again?
Yeah, I mean, GT4s are fun and everything, but when you're in proper high-powered cars like these in the wet and you're fighting, it's just so much better. And being able to do it with Dan, obviously me and him have been fighting for many seasons, championships on the line, everything, and just be able to fight him again for a new one, yeah. It
was a good race for you. Obviously, Dan said something in the first interview in qualifying too. He knows how to race some of these guys. For both of you, you've had to learn how to race against Nash. How was that experience tonight? Look, they had a good battle early on.
Nash he's a good driver. I will say there's a couple mistakes in him. Obviously, I sent a dummy and he fell for it slightly. Managed to get up his inside, but other than that, he's fast. He's respectful. He's a good driver, and it's going to be a good season, especially with him and the rest of these guys. Great to hear.
We go to Zolder next week. Obviously, famous Zolder for you. Back on Project Cars 2 GTs, the pit lane with the sort of chicane halfway down it that you had to do a 13-point turn. There is no chicane this time, but what can you do at Zolder?
Well, I mean, it being a German track, this being a fine piece of German engineering, I mean, I feel like it's just going to be at home. Hopefully, get a good setup, find my, flow, and hopefully come back and hopefully get P1.
Indeed. Well, Joe, we'll see you in Belgium next week.
Cheers, mate, and congrats to Dan as well.
And we go to Dan Davis now. Dan, didn't look like you had the pace of the front two for the most part of that race, but it was a strategy that put you P2.
I mean, I messed up. Fury should have had second. My pressures were wrong from the get-go. I was probably 2 PSI up on what I should be. So if it was the right pressure, I think it would have been a whole different story. With ballooned tyres, I was able to stick with them, so that says something. But yeah, I mean, another race. I messed up myself, and I'm annoyed with myself more than anything because I feel like I had more pace than Nash at times, but I think Fury and I would have been locking horns towards the end again. But no, fair dues to Nash, fair win, and nice to see he's on the grid and giving us a hard time because Ripper gone now. It's like, who's our next challenger? Yeah. So and Nash is here to definitely give us a good run, and the season say it itself. In the past, me and Fury going toe to toe is always a great battle. I did get a lag spike when he came up behind me down the main straight, and yeah, our cars had a little kiss, so I was all over the shot. But I know what Fury's like. He's an aggressive young man, and that's his driving style. And I think if he hadn't had his car issues towards the end, he probably would have got me anyway. The pressures were wrong. I was hanging in there for dear life, but I'll take a first and a second, and obviously fantastic points for SimPlay Racing.
Exactly, fantastic points for SimPlay Racing. Do you feel, Dan, that this season, obviously we spoke a lot race 1, do you feel that this season, Dan, with Nash, with Joe, yourself, Overtaker, Mike looks pretty quick, Gary, when he's got it right, looks like he could cause a bit of an upset every now and again. Do you feel that this is a season that multiple drivers could get race wins here?
Oh, definitely so. It's not going to be a ripper Overtaker season. It's definitely a season where I think the weather will help, especially. I think with the way we have things set up, it's great. We got our first reverse championship grid, so I believe we're starting last. So that will be fun. Yeah, I mean the driver level was again a lot higher in pro. You got Fury, you got Nash, you got Overtaker, you got Mike stepped up his game, Gary stepped up his game, Alex looks quick, Dennis Newman in the dry looks very quick as well. So. But it's all about that consistency. Yes, I'm not the fastest on one lap, but if I can get around and keep doing decent lap times and do what I always do, I feel like I've got a very, very strong chance to finally get a championship on ACC.
Indeed. So we head to Zolder next week, a track that you're famous for, pit lane incidents yourself. What can you do around there in this Lamborghini? Will the Lamborghini go well there?
I don't actually know. It's kind of... I don't know how to describe. I think the curbs are going to be the issue there. It doesn't seem to like hitting the curbs very much. Donington's curbs are quite low, so it was all right here. But yeah, I mean, I haven't got a Bentley coming in to hit me from the rear in Zolder, so that's one thing, and that's a bonus. Might be a BMW, joking Fury, but I mean, yeah, Zolder. We'll go to Zolder. It's a track that I tend to do okay at. It's a weird one, but. I think the last time I did run it was in the old Lamborghini, so we'll see what we can do, and I'm sure I'll take the fight to Nash and Fury and all the rest of the boys. Indeed.
So that, though, was your pro category. Congratulations to Dan and Fury as well as Nash. Driver of the day from the fans. Vote goes the way of Dan Davis for a first and a second, and I'm going to have to tip my hat to Dan as well. So Dan gets both commentators and the audience's driver of the day. The championship tables look a little like this. So it is Dan Davis who is 23 points clear of his teammate Mike Matthews and Joe, who are tied in second place on 82 points. Nash is fourth on 73. Gary Leach then on 70. Luke is 68 in P6. Ramey Fernie P7 on 61. Or D Brave on 60. Darren Yo, 48 with Overtaker down in 10th place on 43 points. Coutiers on 41 with Paolo 40. Sherry 36, one ahead of Clouden on 35. DeFizz tied with him on 35 points. Losser 32 with Andrew Taylor 31. Graham Sutcliffe on 28. Simon Blair at 24. Alex Powell 22. Sky Schundelmeyer is how I'm still going to say that. I will speak with him and make sure that is how it's pronounced. Is on 19. Dennis Newman, 2 DNFs. No points for him. No points for Martin either. 2 DNFs for him. Tech leader War Mazinga. Garvin de Hoffner yet to get their seasons underway. Constructors wise, it is SimPlay Racing who are 98 points clear of BTC Jaeger Racing. But they've had both drivers finish most races, so they really have already got one hand sort of in the lead and really look to kind of keep that gap over BTC with Tibbs not scoring race 2. BTC second, the Haggis Munchers are third. Red Rum as an independent sit fourth in the Constructors' Championship. JB Racing of R Nash sit P5. Ottinger All Stars P6 with 2 Oldhams P7. Wesser Racing Team P8 with the Button Bashers in P9 and BDM Motorsport P10. Your manufacturers looks a little like this. 22 points separates McLaren from BMW with Lamborghini in third place. Ferrari are P4 with Porsche, Aston Martin, Mercedes, Bentley, Honda, Audi bringing up the rear. That is all we have time for tonight. Join Dan Davis live in the commentary box next Wednesday, 8 p.m. GMT for Zolder, the first evening race of the season. And I will be back next Thursday night for the Pro Series with PM Motorsport. So make sure you tune in. Hit that bell button to be notified when we are live. The thumbs up button to leave a like. And hit the big red subscribe button, as well as checking out all of our sponsors. Design Manchester, Audio Sport, Bozzy Designs, all in the description. We've been SimPlay Motorsport. Take care. Good night. And we are clear. 50 quid. 50 quid right now overtake and put something in on Mike.
Well done, Joe, man. Good race, man. Just gutting about your car issues. Whatever the fuck happened, you should have beaten me in that race.
For an